back.
Are we?
We are online.
Oh, well.
Crack Monkey Online.
Yeah.
Oh, Ian. Oh, sorry for the technical difficulties there, folks. It sounded like some kind of transformer had taken over the theme song of.
Yeah, it was all
Busted
kinds
Wide
of
Open
blown out there
podcast.
at that first.
I'm not sure what the hell that was all about, but
Gremlins.
fixed it, reboots, and just magic sorcery fixed it. I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing.
Hey,
Jared, don't die
we
on
made
your
it.
way home from work.
We made it. We're here, and I'm pretty pumped today,
All right.
man.
Yeah, we gotta.
Oh
talk
yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be a lot of opinionated commentary in this episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast, folks.
Wait.
Strap in.
I can't wait. It's so funny because putting together the show, I was looking down everything that happened this week, and not a lot of news. I'll get into this when we're opening the show, but kind of not a very busy week. But then I looked at everything, like all the little things that happened. And
The macro of everything is just huge.
Oh my! Oh, there's many things to discuss.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into it.
All right. So I am going to last couple little tests of audio here. I'm going to push record, make sure we got good levels.
While you're doing that, I will quickly say thank you to everyone who did make it to our live chat right now and to the live recording of this.
Yes.
We know we're going on a couple of hours early today. We promise that will not be an anywhere near a regular thing. That's like almost never going to happen.
Right.
So we do apologize for that. We will not be live in 2 weeks. You're going out of town?
Yes. Next week and then the week after, I'll be on vacation.
You're going to some islands in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. My official GTFO of the country annual thing.
Yes. Which, have fun.
Yes.
So we will not be live at all that week, but there will be a show.
Ooh.
We will have a show.
Plot twist.
Yes. Just without you.
Yes.
Which will be interesting. We're going to have a step-in guest host who will be doing a wonderful job in your absence. So we will not have a live show in 2 weeks.
To be determined.
But we will be doing this at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for perpetuity.
Yes.
Barring freak things that happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is our sixth week of doing the live stuff, and this every now and then something's going to happen, and that's the trick with doing live. With just doing the audio recording, we could just do whenever we wanted.
Yep.
Well,
but no, we promise to stay to a decent schedule.
Yes.
97% of the time. 97.9% of the time.
Yes. All right, we're ready. Are you guys ready? Are you ready, Sir Ian Dangerous?
I am. Hold on. Coffee. So ready.
All right. Well, as we do always on the Busted Wide Open podcast, we're going to kick things off with our good friends over at Blueberry. This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
This is the Limitless Keith Lee, and I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open podcast. Mwah.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 89. I'm Nick Howell.
And aging about as well as a Mauro Ranallo analogy about Drake, I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to the show.
Yes.
I'm really excited to be here today. I'm feeling good, man. Like it's weird how the year works, how the ebbs and flows work through the year. We're in a week this week where it almost feels like the deep breath before the plunge. You know, like
that's an interesting way to put it.
I'm looking at September, and if you look just at wrestling in September, it's going to be an absolutely huge month. And October's going to be really big too. But September, if you think about it, we've got Japan. New Japan alone has 4 big shows.
That's it. We can stop there. I'm good.
Right. In addition, there's Battle of Los Angeles. There's Hell in a Cell. There's Death Before Dishonor. And this Saturday, there's All In. You've got the Mae Young Classic, which is going to start airing. It's insanity. And this week, like I'm looking at everything, I mean, as far as anything besides just our WWE recap and analysis, we basically I'm talking about Triple Mania, running down what happened on Lucha Underground this week, couple of news and notes, listener questions, but it is that deep, oh, here it comes. And there's just going to be so much stuff for the rest of the month.
Yeah. It is going to, we had this earlier this year when we were doing, like, right after WrestleMania, we had, leading into Backlash, we had the Greatest Royal Rumble in Jeddah, and it felt like 3 big, massive things happened, well, except for Backlash. Well, 2 big, massive things happened, and then Backlash happened. Right on top of each other, within 3 to 4 weeks of each other. I think we're going through that again. Is this that 2.0 later in the year?
I mean, WWE only has 1 pay-per-view in September. It's just so much of everything else. And not that WWE is any small shakes. I mean, if you look at their programming this week, it was a lot of build towards 3 pay-per-views. Usually they just concentrate on 1 big event that's coming up. We were getting builds towards Hell in a Cell. We were getting builds towards Evolution. We were getting builds towards Super Showdown. They're definitely spreading themselves really wide with this for better or for worse. I definitely want to discuss how they're building to the 3 shows and how I think building towards some of them is hurting their build towards other ones.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a strange dynamic that they're working with right now. And that's just how they build for the shows, not to mention what's going on their actual programming, which was I felt kind of hit or miss this week. They had some really good stuff and then some stuff that left us all scratching our heads. But let's not get too into that right now because we have a whole show to do, Nick.
Yes.
So before we get into anything else, let's talk about the big news.
Well, of all those shows we were just talking about, the one that we have to rattle off first that's starting this weekend, here in 2 days, I believe. By the way, shout out to everybody, all of our fellow podcasters that were able to make it at StarCast to be there as exhibitioners and do some interviews. And next year,
I'm so jealous.
Pending they do it again next year.
All in 2.
Yes.
All in 2. Busted Wide Open takes over. I'm sad we're not going to be there for it this year. We do have a lot of buddies who are there, and go guys, have a great time. It is a whole weekend of stuff that they're doing over there with a convention and a podcasting, the StarCast, like you were saying, and then the actual All In event itself, which is Saturday night. If you do want to check out All In, they have worked out a lot of ways to see it. I mean, it's on WGN America as a pay-per-view. Which is, by the way, the only way you'll be able to see the pre-show, which has the Battle Royale on it, what they're calling the over-budget Battle Royale.
Hang on, I thought WGN was like a cable channel up in the 200s for Chicago, that media region.
Yeah,
they have
WGN America has a pay-per-view section. I haven't actually. Sadly, I have not researched that enough to find out how to do it, how to watch there, because there's so many other options that I'm just going to go watch. I have Fight TV on my Amazon Fire Stick, so I'm just going to watch it on that. You could also watch it if you're subscribed to Ring of Honor's Honor Club.
I was actually thinking about. I was waiting for this to kind of sign up for Honor Club because I'm interested in starting to watch that more regularly.
Yeah, their TV's not very good, but their big shows are usually pretty good. With Ring of Honor these days. And then if you can't catch it live, but you subscribe to New Japan, it'll be on the New Japan streaming service a few hours after it goes up live.
It's going to be everywhere.
It's freaking everywhere.
Good job, Cody and the Bucks.
I tell you, man.
Holy smokes.
You cannot understate the impressiveness of what they've pulled off here. Not only selling out a 10,000 person arena in 27 minutes. Which is nuts to begin with, but then everything else that they've brought together for this. In addition, we've got to talk about the show itself, which is a damn good show on paper as well. I'm looking at the match list here. You've got 9 matches, including the Battle Royale. Obviously, the Battle Royale is 15-person Battle Royale, which will determine the number 1 contender to the Ring of Honor World Championship, which, by the way, that's also a match in this card. So the Battle Royale goes on in the pre-show, and that's going to be the confirmed names right now are Jordan Grace, Brian Cage, Moose, Billy Gunn, Rocky Romero, Jimmy Jacobs, Marco Stunt, Colt Cabana, Ethan Page, Punishment Martinez, and Brandon Cutler.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a bunch of, big names right there. Yeah. And that's in the pre-show. The winner of that then goes on to the main show. In the main show, they have to wrestle again against Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. And that's just 2 matches. You've got Madison, a 4-way women's match, Madison Rayne versus Britt Baker versus Chelsea Green versus Tessa Blanchard.
Wow. I'm all over that one.
That's a nice match.
Yeah, it is.
You've got a tag team match, the Briscoe Brothers versus SoCal Uncensored. And then speaking of SoCal Uncensored, Christopher Daniels is having a match against Stephen Amell, who you may know from Arrow, but also from his quite superlative work in WWE with Cody. Like he is actually a pretty decent wrestler. He's not going to blow anyone's mind, but I think Christopher Daniels will get a good match out of him.
It's funny to see him come back now after what he did with, he was Stardust at the time in WWE when Amell showed up. Yeah,
he was facing
right?
Stardust. It was Amell and Neville against Stardust, and I forget who Cody was with, but
matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, who cares? but yeah, so that'll be an interesting match at least. And then the 6-man tag team match is one of the. This is where we start blowing my mind. Rey Mysterio, Phoenix, and Bandito versus Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Kota Ibushi, the Young Bucks with Kota Ibushi. I think that could steal the show.
Wow.
Joey Janela versus Hangman Page in a Chicago street fight. If you watch Being the Elite, they did a good build for this, which is going to be a lot of fun. Kazuchika Okada versus Marty Scurll, which you've never seen in New Japan aside from like a couple tag matches because Marty is a junior heavyweight and Kazuchika is a heavyweight. So that's going to be a fantastic match. And then, of course, the big match of the night, NWA heavyweight champion Nick Aldis versus Cody Rhodes versus Cody, the man. So that's a damn good card.
I mean, if you're I want to give them kudos some more for the amount of promotive work that they've been doing. I don't know if they've hired anybody or think that they've hired any kind of publicist or anything like that. It's just them on social media and making the calls and booking the stuff and like all of the stuff we rattled off before you went over the card. All of the places that it's going to be, New Japan, Honor Club, WGN, everywhere. The amount of work that takes, I'm intimately familiar with. It's absurd the fact that they don't have a whole army of people doing this for them.
Well, you look at the kind of the structure that the Young Bucks set up on their own before Cody showed up. They had a pretty good structure set up with their merchandise and with their social media presence.
Right.
And then Cody came along and added a lot of his connections that he had through years and years at a high level work in the industry. People he knew, and calling up people and making those connections, and they had pre-established a lot of these connections. They just pulled the trigger on a bunch of them and made the deal happen.
Wow,
and it's so impressive. So, yeah, nothing but superlatives when it comes to talking about everyone who's involved with All In. I can't wait to watch the final product. This could be a watershed moment in American independent wrestling and international independent wrestling, really, too, because it is kind of an international card here. You got
the crossover appeal of all of the superstars from all the different promotions around the world is big.
At least 4 different promotions represented here: Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact. That's and arguably, you even got some you could say CMLL or AAA are being represented as well. So it's very impressive, and I'm excited for it.
I'm excited to watch it as well. It's one of those things. I don't know. I think I'm going to sign up for Honor Club this weekend just to be able to watch it. Yeah, because I kind of want to start watching more regularly those Ring of Honor pay-per-views because they've been kind of scratching my itch a little bit lately.
Yeah, and they do some good stuff. The way that Impact's been scratching my itch lately, so Impact's been putting out some good stuff.
Yeah, they have.
Goofy as hell, but it's a lot of fun. But that being said, that is our big news story for this week. That's coming up. Check it out. We'll definitely be running it down next week on the show. But in the meantime, we've got to head to the guts of our show today, Nick, and we've got to go over and talk about Monday Night Raw.
Oh, man, we have got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because top story on Monday Night Raw has to do with your boy.
What the actual F during this entire show is kind of... Listen, I want to be clear. I really enjoyed this week's programming overall.
Really?
From Raw to SmackDown to NXT, everything for me was kind of hitting on all cylinders. And it's one of those things where if you look at it in the individual things, there's plenty to be annoyed about. But the macro of the overall week is fantastic. The way that they're building all of this stuff, it's taking turns that I didn't expect.
They are, yes, I do like the unpredictability of it, and I think they're definitely doing some of these storylines right at this point. There's also a lot that we have to discuss in terms of how they're going about things and questioning it because
sure, yeah, that's what we do here. We break it down.
We break it down. Break it down. I knew that was coming. So let's just get the elephant out of the bag. Yeah, does that work? The elephant in the room, out of the bag,
out of the briefcase. You could say
out of the briefcase. Ooh, I like that. Let's get the elephant out of the briefcase.
Braun Strowman's a heel. Apparently,
Braun Strowman went heel. He's a bad man.
Let's take a step back before we get too far down into this because it's very easy on the surface to sit there and say Braun Strowman's now a heel. I don't know that I'm all the way there yet.
Okay,
because he's so big. And he has the briefcase, which we now know he has cashed in. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, let's run down what exactly happened with him on the show.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Let's.
What I'm trying to get out here is that he can do whatever the hell he wants because he's the monster. Just because he goes over and he doesn't want to play nice with Roman Reigns, so he goes on the other team, doesn't automatically make him a big bad heel.
All right. Well, while you're doing mental gymnastics, trying to make yourself feel better about your boy becoming a bad man, let's go and talk about what exactly happened on the show. Basically, we had a very awkward opening segment where we were put together into a main event where it was Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman tag teaming against Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. I was kind of surprised that Ziggler and McIntyre were going from the Seth Rollins feud into a feud with Roman. It's all has to do with the Shield reforming. Braun saying, "Look, I'm not going to cash in on you on Raw because
your two little buddies will just come out."
Exactly. Roman and he had called each other out on social media, and so Roman came out, called out Strowman. Strowman came out, said, "I'm not going to cash in because your Shield boys are going to take me out." Anyway, at the end of the day, Corbin puts them into a tag match in the main event, and then Strowman inexplicably, at the same time, says, "You know what, Roman? I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna cash in and make a date instead of cashing in the middle of a match. I'm gonna cash in on a date in the future and say I want you in a match where your boys can interfere, and I want to be in a cell with you because no one's ever interfered in a cell match.
No one's ever gotten inside of a cell.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Strowman's decision making, how they've written his decision making later.
Maybe they should do it in a Punjabi prison instead of. That way nobody could get in, right?
Nick, shut your whore mouth. Don't even give them that idea.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they listen.
No.
Oh, all right.
Don't ever say Punjabi prison again. We're all trying to move past that. That being said, the Great Khali does need a job. Maybe, I don't know. He's got kids, like Heath Slater. But no, at the end of the night, tag match, hot tag, Braun Strowman. Roman's getting beaten up. Goes for the hot tag on Braun Strowman. Strowman tags him, doesn't get in. And then Drew and Ziggler just to continue to beat the crap out of Roman until they get disqualified, at which point Strowman comes in and seemingly joins up with them to continue the beatdown on Roman Reigns and just annihilates him. Shield guys come down. Dean and Seth come out. They get annihilated. Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and Braun Strowman with them stand tall to end the show. Seemingly looking like Braun Strowman, despite what Nick thinks, despite the lingering hope that his boy is not being another piece in Vince McMahon's puzzle to try to get people to cheer Roman Reigns, that he has not turned heel. You're trying to think that.
I think what's happened here is we've had an overlap. I think there's two things going on in parallel here. There's the Shield versus whatever threesome third person that McIntyre and Ziggler want to put together.
Right.
And then there's Braun and Roman Reigns. And the two happened to just align this week. I don't think there's some three-man faction joining up with Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. It's not happening.
No?
No, I mean, it may short-term be
gentleman's bet? Or should we put something real on this?
No, I don't think it's going to be some long-term new faction that we're going to see like the Shield to counter the Shield.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to be...
The universe just kind of overlapped with these two different storylines.
No, it's not going to be Ziggy Mac and the Monster. No, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be like an ongoing faction. But I think it will be a alliance of convenience, if you will. And I think that Strowman... Here's the thing. On one hand, and we were talking about this last week, is, okay, the Shield's reformed. They are now going to be more dominant as a faction than anything else that's currently out there in the WWE landscape. Who's going to step up and face them? And we had all kinds of things like, well, what if Strowman reformed the Wyatt family with now that Harper's not doing anything, Bray's not doing anything. We had all kinds of ways of that happening. This is just one of those ways. That's a really strong faction.
Yeah, it is.
Just McIntyre and Strowman alone, who, by the way, are almost equal in height, which is saying something for McIntyre because Strowman's been built as this huge, unstoppable monster. That shows you how big Drew is that he's almost Strowman's size.
Foreshadowing.
But you hope. But the two of them, and then little wily Dolph Ziggler is the brains. That's a hell of a strong faction. And you put them against the Shield, and they look legit. They look more legit than anybody that the Shield's been put against. Remember last year, it was the Miz and the Miztourage, and then it was the Bar, but none of them really came across as being that much of a threat to the Shield. I don't know, man. Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre, that's a threat, a big-time threat. So I think that's, from a booking standpoint, that is a smart faction to put against the Shield. Conversely, they had to turn one of their most over baby faces, someone who got over organically, someone who is a once in a generation talent in terms of physical attributes and skills on the mic, etc. They had to take him, and in the favor of a guy they haven't been able to successfully get over in 4 years, they had to turn this organic over babyface heel to make this all work, which is, you can look at it and say it's madness. Like, why wouldn't you pull the trigger on Strowman when he's this over organically?
I think we just haven't gotten there yet. I think Roman has to have his time with the belt, and it's going to happen at some point. And that's why I'm not completely all in on this notion that Strowman did they do it for the short term to get to Hell in a Cell, to have the two of them face off in a cell? Yeah, do what you need to do. But he's going to be another one that he's just not going to get booed.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
Well, and you can see that at the end of the show where people just didn't know quite what to do. Like, they wanted to cheer Strowman because he was beating up Roman Reigns, but at the same time, he was also acting in a really dickish way.
Sure.
So people were like, I don't, me head explode. I don't know. So I definitely, I agree. Like, this isn't the end of the world with them turning Strowman. He could absolutely walk that line where he's just out for himself. That's kind of where he was before they turned him total babyface earlier this year, where he was just kind of a guy who just did whatever the hell he wanted, and he still got cheered even though he would do heelish things. So they could conceivably keep him on that kind of tweener line.
Yep.
And then just, have him organically go back to being face later. Yeah, this isn't the end of the world. It's just fascinating that they're totally willing to do that just because Roman's the man now.
Now, I will say that the Strowman Reigns feud from last year with the ambulance match and all of that stuff was probably some of my favorite stuff of last year. I really enjoyed those matches and the builds for those and everything.
Yeah,
and that just kind of the 1-2-3 punch of all those matches lining up that way. So we did get a nice little callback to the "I'm not finished with you."
I told you I'm not finished with you. Yeah.
I love that.
It was one of the best feuds, like in main roster. That was one of the best feuds of the year. That and like Usos New Day was like two of the best feuds of last year. Absolutely. So I am excited to see more Strowman and Roman, and them in a cage. That's gonna be because actually some of my favorite Roman matches have been him in a cage. Because he does throw himself around and bumps like a champ.
Well, that time he beat Brock Lesnar by knocking him through the fence. Oh, wait, no, he didn't.
Man, right. Why you got to do that? Why you got to hurt me? Real quick before we get out of this section, I do want to talk about how the writing did make Strowman look like a complete idiot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where why would he cash if he's going to take advantage of Roman in the main event? why would he cash in his briefcase at Hell in a Cell, right? He's got Ziggler and McIntyre watching his back. Why not cash in there? He had him beat down. He just cashed in his briefcase earlier in the show. It makes him look like a dummy.
This is yet another reason why I think it's not a full-on heel turn, because he would have done that kind of stuff and leveraged Ziggler and McIntyre to do that.
I have a little information that you might not have.
Okay.
And that is that they're already promoting a 3-on-3 match in Australia halfway through October, most of the way through October. Ziggler, McIntyre, and Strowman versus The Shield. So I think your idea about it being a one-off.
Let's see what happens after that.
Okay.
You know? Look at all the things that happened in Jeddah that we really don't give a shit about anymore.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that this is going to go at least a month or two.
Fine.
The way they're promoting it. So
unfortunate. Hey, did you know Kevin Owens quit?
Yes. This was my favorite segment of the show. Was this whole match? By the way, this match was
fantastic,
insane. If you only watched the Hulu version, you saw less than half of this match, and this was a 20-minute barn burner. This was a pay-per-view quality match. If you watch the full thing, it is insane. Like, people actually are speculating that Kevin Owens actually legit quit. If this is his last match in WWE, he went out on top. He went out with a hell of a match.
Yeah.
But of course, we're pretty sure it's kayfabe. After the match, he loses to Seth Rollins, gets all weepy in the middle of the ring, sits down in a chair, and just says, "I quit," and leaves. So I'm very curious with what they're doing with this. This was very unexpected. We were wondering what they were going to do with the Kevin Owens character. He's been on a real bad downward spiral. I liked the way he came out for this match, saying, I thought things were bad on SmackDown. I thought it was going to be better on Raw. It's just as bad on Raw. I'm not leaving until I get a championship. And then he just quits. That was great. It was a callback to the old prize fighter Kevin Owens that first came up in the main roster.
Can I just say I love Kevin Owens in Canada? Especially when he's from Montreal and he goes to Toronto and he just tears down Toronto, because IRL, those cities kind of hate each other. They don't have, like, Toronto's this progressive and forward-thinking New York City style of city. Montreal's this very old world, French-Canadian, kind of still living in the old world in a way. He comes out and starts tearing down Toronto in French. I just want Kevin Owens to yell at Canadians in French some more.
Oh,
it's so good.
And what he said, he came out and everyone was cheering him because he's Canadian, and he says, "Oh yeah, I love it here, but wait, not here. I actually love it in Montreal, not Toronto, because screw Toronto." They start booing him, and in French, he essentially says, "Oh yeah, you're booing me now, but you already bought my shirt, didn't you?" Which is, mwah. So yeah, no, I love Kevin Owens in Canada as well, and I love that the audience was chanting for Sami Zayn. They were chanting the soccer chant for Sami Zayn during the match as well. Like it's one. I love Canada in general. When they go to Canada, it's always a good time. Yep. But the question now is, what's the end game? Where are we going with Kevin Owens, with him quitting? They've put him on the alumni page. His merch is back up as Kevin Steen on Pro Wrestling Tees. Like they're going all out with this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I heard some rumors going around that he might show up at All In. Like he somehow but he's booked himself already outside of WWE. Is this all bullshit too?
I mean, who knows? It's the modern day of kayfabe. It's they have to try all these different ways to put one over on people because, kayfabe has now become meta in some ways.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if we look at where is Sami Zayn right now? How is
injured?
I know he's injured.
Got two bum shoulders.
Right, but what are we looking at on his return? Is he another 6 months?
Year.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Minimum like end of the year next year. He's out for a while.
Maybe he wants to go hang out with Sammy and just like rehab him or something.
With his best friend.
You guys are my best friends.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. There's a couple people who if they show up as a surprise at All In, I will lose my actual shit. CM Punk is 99% not going to be there. Don't get your hopes up. He said he's done with wrestling. They put out a ton of stuff. Obviously, kayfabe's kayfabe.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he's not going to show up, especially because Colt Cabana's also there, and they don't get along anymore. I do think that there is a strong possibility that Neville might show up at All In.
Oh.
He officially was released from his WWE contract, and he's on the alumni page officially now after a year of limbo. So he could show up at All In. I don't think Kevin is. I think this is a work. But I'm just curious what happens. Because Corbin at one point later in the show, Stephanie was calling him and saying, what's going on? And Corbin says, I'll handle it.
Right.
So it's obviously a storyline of some kind.
Okay.
But just what storyline they're telling with him, I don't know. I have no idea where they're going with this, which is exciting. And I like that. I love it when they do that, when they do a storyline that I have no idea.
Surprise me. I'm just here with popcorn and enjoying the ride.
Yep. Especially with a guy as talented as Kevin Owens, who can, he can make a dictionary sound interesting when he talks about it. So,
well, hey, next up we had Trish Stratus make an appearance on Monday Night Raw. I'm assuming just in promotion of Evolution.
Well,
but
and they were Canada.
In Toronto, in her hometown of Toronto. Yeah. Sure. Interrupted Elias, who was right in the middle of tearing down Toronto.
Naturally.
As he does. Out comes Trish Stratus. I didn't see this one coming.
No.
Apparently, she is now going to have a match at Evolution with Alexa Bliss.
Yep, they announced that a week or two ago.
Yep. And now then they do all this stuff, and then we end up with the Bellas backstage, who were already doing something else. I am so confused with what's going on in the women's division in Raw right now.
Cool. Let me break it down for you.
Because Ronda has the belt. Mind blown already.
Yeah.
Alexa is still tearing everybody down and is frankly still the best woman on Monday Night Raw, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I didn't say in the ring, on Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
I have no idea what's going on with the women on Monday Night Raw right now. So please enlighten me.
I will do my best.
Make sense of it for me.
I'll try. So after Trish comes out, a little bit of interaction with Elias, which, I didn't think they had that much chemistry, but it was fine. Elias leaves. We end up having a match between Alicia Fox and Natalia's first match since her father passed away in Canada, which I thought was a nice touch. And of course, she beats Alicia Fox. Meanwhile, ringside for Natalya, you had Trish Stratus and Ronda Rousey. While on the other side, on Foxy's side, you had Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, which was I like the little callback to the really wonderful feuds that Trish Stratus and Mickie James had.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of dynamics getting set up there, where we've got an upcoming like we said at the top of the show, they're building towards a bunch of things right now. We've got a match at Hell in a Cell, rematch between Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey, so we need to build towards that. We have a match that's been confirmed at Evolution between Trish Stratus and Alexa Bliss. We need to build towards that. In addition, there's also the strong rumor is that there will be the women's title match at Evolution will be Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella. So I agree, but we're setting up for that. Hence why we had the segment afterwards where the three victorious women, Natalya, Ronda, and Trish were all backstage, and they run into the Bellas, and everyone takes a little selfie and loves each other. And it's announced the Bellas will have a match next week. So to me, this felt like a way to serve a bunch of masters while having kind of a nothing match in the middle. That's what I'm pretty sure it was.
The line of the night for me was Alexa Bliss calling out Trish saying, "Well, I've replaced you," and she was like, "No, seriously, fight me."
Well, yeah, you're the old me. I'm the new Trish Stratus kind of thing. Yeah, and which is the kind of the perception that visually maybe, but.
I don't understand what is all of. I understand they're building towards multiple things, but actually nothing is getting accomplished, and that's what bothers me. We're not having matches. We're not building feuds any more than just having these standoffs. We're not having any of this stuff happen other than oh, I'm better than you, and it's like break it up. What's the damn dance movie?
I don't know.
Point being, I want to see. I am so confused right now. The minute they put that title on Ronda Rousey, like everything kind of went out the window. I had no idea what was going on anymore because all the rules that we've grown up with in wrestling over the last few decades have kind of gone out the window.
Well, but the new rules I think make sense, and the new rules are you need to get mainstream attention, and if you have Ronda Rousey defending the belt at Hell in a Cell, you can get mainstream attention with that. If you have Ronda Rousey with the belt facing off against one of your most popular women wrestlers of the last 10 years in Nikki Bella, that's a big event at Evolution. So to me, that does make sense. Also, Trish Stratus and Alexa Bliss, as you said, one of the most successful modern women versus one of the most successful women wrestlers of all time, that's also a big match in a general sense. Maybe not to us kind of grinding through every week, but overall in the general perception, that's going to bring a lot of more casual eyes to this.
I don't disagree that that's a big deal. 7-time women's champion. You know, she's fantastic. She's arguably my favorite female wrestler of all time.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's too early. Like it's not even September yet, and we're talking about Evolution in October. How are they going to spend the next 60 days talking about this match?
Well, because we've got multiple matches to talk about. They have so many
I'm talking about
things.
between Bliss and Stratus. Like, why set those two on a path yet if we've still got to get to Rousey and Alexa's rematch? That's where I'm saying none of this makes sense.
Because the more time you have to promote it.
I understand that. But you're telling me she's got two different storylines going at the same time with two different women. That's where I start to, like, it's just, I want to get past one before we move on to the other one. Maybe in a more linear fashion.
Okay. So basically, you want to eat your steak before you eat your potatoes. You don't eat them both at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that they are going to try and have both their steak and potatoes on the same bite, and hopefully it works out. So far this week, like you said, is a little muddled, but there's a lot of nice moments in there. And I'm curious to see how the inclusion of the Bellas works. I think they're going to be trying to juggle a lot of things at once, and it may work, it may not work. But the bottom line is they're trying to get this all done throughout as all of these weeks go to have enough time to promote these big shows. And having to promote 3 shows at one time, you're going to have some things get muddled like this. And it's a matter of, it's up to them to keep the storylines clear while they're doing it. You can do it at the same time. You just have to keep it clear. And this week I felt it was fairly clear this week, where you had the different dynamics going on. But I thought that it will be really easy for them to make it muddled, so they have to be careful.
Sure. Yeah. You mentioned Baron Corbin a little bit ago. I have to say again, I'm continuing to thoroughly enjoy Constable, now acting general manager Baron Corbin in this role. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I have been.
It's, you know what really is working is how engaged he is in it, because in his old lone wolf gimmick, he was very. The whole thing was his nonchalance, his lack of caring, and he'd come out and just, I don't care. I don't really want to. I don't want to be here. I don't like the crowd. He looked like he was bored, or he looked like he was just unhappy to be there all the time.
Right.
With this, it's like a light has switched on with the Constable character. It's like a light switch on and he's having fun. And that translates. It makes us have fun with him being such an insufferable dick. It's so much fun. And this was a great example of it this week, where after he set up the tag match between Roman, Strowman, and Dolph and Drew for the main event, he put himself in a match against Finn Balor. Again. Which at first I was like, oh God, really? Didn't we? How do you go on in this feud after the demon squash? After the demon squashes you, how do we go? Oh, because we're going to establish that Corbin, now that he is the authority figure, will use his power to screw over everyone who before he didn't have the power to screw over.
Yep.
So this could be what happened in this match was Corbin and Finn had the match. Finn wins because Corbin tried to bring in a chair. Finn took advantage of it, beats Corbin. Corbin then restarts.
Corbin hit him with the chair.
He hit him with the chair and got DQ'd, then got out of the ring and said, no, I didn't lose. I'm restarting it. It's a no DQ match.
I forgot to stipulate before we started the match that this is a no DQ match. Let's start again.
Everything was going on. I forgot to mention. Restarts the match, beats the crap out of Finn with the chair, pins him 1, 2, 3, showing that he's willing to use his authority to get his way no matter what. If this doesn't have anything more happen between him and Finn, I think it makes a good point, and it doesn't make Finn look bad, and it actually really helps Baron Corbin's character.
Yes.
We've seen that Finn can destroy Baron if he wants to. We don't have to worry about that. What they're trying to show us here is, hey, you're in for some fun with Corbin. He's going to be a dick. I thought this was a fantastic way of showing that and not telling us. They just showed us with a match.
Yeah, but as B-Bosh just said in chat, poor Finn Balor. You know?
Yes,
he did just get an amazing squash on this guy in the Demon, arguably the best painted Demon I've seen
that was a really
at
good
SummerSlam, and now he's back to doing this again.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I think the fact that it was Finn was part of the point they were trying to make. You know what I mean? Someone who has just had such a huge moment as Finn, you know, he did really get a huge pop at SummerSlam, and I think that really helped him a lot, where he was kind of, I'm not going to say floundering, but he wasn't really having those big moments that he really kind of needs to. I thought this was, I wasn't mad at him being used for this because it made sense given their history. I thought from a storytelling standpoint, it worked.
Sure.
It worked. And hopefully Finn comes back and has a nice feud with someone else.
Yeah.
Not Corbin anymore.
Probably not likely.
Hopefully.
Because who's left at this point?
Well, we can talk about that. Dean Ambrose and Jinder Mahal had a little match. Jinder tried to get Dean to shanti backstage and calm him down. Dean, first words he's uttered since he came back as Murder, Death, Kill Ambrose, basically said, oh, yeah, I can envision all these. I'm having a nice vision right now of me punching your teeth down your throat and breaking your ribs with my foot. They go have a match, and Dean pretty much did just that. One thing I like about Dean is we've been talking about Becky and her comparisons to Stone Cold.
Uh-huh.
Dean, I think, has really turned a corner to physically being a lot more Stone Coldish with his walk. He's doing a lot more of that kind of, you know how Stone Cold used to walk to the ring, just that angry walk, shit talking the crowd the entire time, running his mouth. Dean's now doing that, and he's a lot more aggressive in the ring. And he's made dirty deeds almost stunnerish by adding a little gut kick before it. Because remember, that was the tell for the stunner, was the gut kick. He'd kick you in the gut, bend you over, and then grab your head and stunner you. Dean's now doing the same thing, where he kicks you in the gut, grabs you in the DDT hold, and then boom. So I think he's taken some cues from the rattlesnake, and I think it's smart cues to take, especially for his character.
Yeah, but there's a whole handful of people that kick their moves off like that,
Yes, but
Triple H did it with the pedigree. There's a whole hand.
But then the pedigree, you have to set up the arms and everything.
Fine.
The snappiness that he's doing the dirty deeds with now, I'm saying he could, if he's trying to put, to get these little, a little bit of spice from Stone Cold into his character, I think it's good for his character.
Me too.
I think it's appropriate. I think it's smart for him and could really get him even more over than he already is. And I think he's doing it well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Dean since he came back.
Here's what I want to say about this. On top of what I was saying earlier about how we had those overlapping storylines with Shield facing off against McIntyre, Ziggler, and now Strowman,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have a Roman and Strowman program going on. Now you're also injecting Jinder Mahal into this with a Dean Ambrose thing, and it's starting to feel kind of all over the place, and I don't know who's doing what, because while you're doing Shield stuff, you're also doing stuff for each of them individually that has nothing to do with the team that you're doing Shield stuff with.
Right. But that's the thing, is I don't know when Seth gets back involved with Ziggler and McIntyre. I don't know if he does. Because we had an open challenge, and Kevin Owens came out this week for the Intercontinental title. Who's going to be answering the Intercontinental
Drew's
challenge?
bagpipes to set off and come out and do that.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
And obviously I think the thing with Jinder, I don't think that's going to be a lasting feud with Dean. He beat him clean as a whistle this week. I think this is just them keeping them doing something. I have a feeling that we'll end up with Seth and Dean versus Ziggler and McIntyre at Hell in a Cell, while Roman and Strowman are having a cell match.
Yeah.
So I think this was just they had Ziggler and McIntyre doing something else this week. We had to have Seth and Dean do something. Cool. Got out of the way. Next week, Shield will be all back together.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the stuff that went down. A lot of this didn't make the Hulu edition. I know because I watched the Hulu edition, and I don't know anything about some of this stuff.
All right.
Bobby Lashley destroyed the Ascension after Corbin tricked him.
So this was a nice little moment. Corbin basically said, oh, yeah, Lashley, you got a match tonight. I kind of forgot who you're going to be facing. Lashley ends up slapping Corbin and being really sarcastic. I liked Lashley this week, and he came out and it was the Ascension. So it was a 2-on-1 match, which was a nice, Corbin being a dick again.
Yeah.
And Lashley sadly destroyed the Ascension, destroyed them. But looked really good. I liked what I saw from Lashley this week. I would love it if he ended up in a feud with Corbin.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Because there was some tension between them this week, and there was a little bit of physicality. So if that goes somewhere, that'd be nice. Although in London, I did see that he and Elias were still doing their thing where Lashley comes out and sings with Elias. Elias was doing like Robbie Williams in the middle of the ring.
Okay.
Got the whole crowd to sing along to Robbie Williams' Angel, and Lashley was trying to sing too, and then Elias attacked him. Anyway,
oh boy.
Bottom line, I hope Lashley is done and we get Lashley and Corbin. That'd be really fun. Also, something else that was really good this week was the tag division. I think they're starting to turn it in the right direction. We had the Revival come out in a non-title match and destroy the B team. Now remember, I think B team was undefeated until this, but they wrecked them. and then got up on the stage and gave this nasty promo about how jokers like the B team were ruining the tag division, and they were here to restore proper tag wrestling.
Good. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah, it was great stuff. It's exactly what we wanted to hear from the Revival, what we should be seeing out of the tag division. Gave me a lot of hope that they're going to turn that in the right direction. So we'll see where that goes if the Revival destroy the B team and take the titles, and then we start getting some proper tag team wrestling going underneath the Revival as the leaders of that.
Tune in next week as one of them get injured again.
Stop it.
And we have to go back. Never mind. Sorry, I'm not going to put that juju on them. Come on, Revival.
Well, they're
please.
called the Revival because they keep reviving their careers over and over again after getting injured. No?
No.
We also had Sasha Banks versus Dana Brooke for some reason.
Dana Brooke getting a match.
Dana Brooke getting a match.
Girl.
Yeah, no,
Against
it was
Sasha too.
It was her comeback to the ring after, I believe, 9 months. Well, the reason that was part of the plot was that she got booked in this match, and Apollo Crews was mad at Titus because he's like, why would you book her in a match against one of the nastiest women in the division? And of course, Dana Brooke got annihilated, and Sasha tapped her out. Which just shows more rifts in Titus Worldwide. I suspect that Apollo and Dana will go off on their own at some point in the next few weeks. That's kind of where they're building for this. Nice to see Sasha look dominant again and get some, respect and storyline. So that was nice.
At the expense of Dana Brooke.
Yeah,
who I'm quite the fan of. So
yeah, me too. But she's better as a manager at this point. She's fine in ring, but she's not gonna win Wrestler of the Year or anything.
No.
So having her be able to get in a ring is fine, but have her be kind of like Zelina Vega over on SmackDown, where she can get in the ring, but primarily is a manager for Apollo Crews, who needs to get his path back. And I think he would do well as a good mid-card heel.
Well, the last thing we need to talk about is the never-ending Legends promotion of the Showdown, Super Slam, whatever the hell they're calling it in Melbourne, Australia. Super Showdown. We had constant inserts of Legends promoting that it all ends here.
The Taker Undertaker match.
Big time, the last ride.
So, and basically giving their picks about who they think is going to win. I actually like that, is that they're building the match basically around who's going to win this, Taker or Triple H, because that was the first thing I thought was, does Triple H finally go over the Undertaker here? Does he go?
Yes.
Does he come out and go, hey, Mark, so you're retiring and I'm still going to be around. So
you've retired like 3 times now.
How about you give me a little shine for once? And I could see him trying to pass that logic over to the Undertaker. So it is a big point that I'm curious about, is does Triple H eat a pin one more time for the Undertaker?
I don't think so. Go ahead.
And let him ride off into the sunset.
I think they could really amp this up by making it a casket match and making it once and for all. Triple H puts Undertaker in the casket and he's done.
Man, the only person burying anybody is Triple H.
This is like the 4th time, Cry Wolf, all that stuff. This is the 4th time you've had Undertaker come back one last time, retirement things. I'm over it.
This is a bit of a different one because they are promoting it as a nostalgia match. And again, this is what they were kind of going for this week, was all these different big events they're promoting coming up. They've got to serve all these masters. And this is one of the biggest matches on that Australia show, is Taker Triple H. So it makes sense. But it was a little bit grating after a while to just have all these guys talking about this match that really, at the end of the day, is a glorified nostalgia match that we know is not going to be a whole lot of fun to watch.
No. Unless Triple H goes and gets the sledgehammer,
which he might, but it's not like Undertaker's going to be moving that fast, and it's not like Triple H ever moves that fast. So it's going to be a bit of a slog, this match. I just have a feeling lots of storytelling. I'll put it that way.
Yes, indeed. Well, guys, there's Monday Night Raw, but we're not done. We've got more main roster action for you over on SmackDown Live.
Oh, Becky Lynch.
Yes.
Becky Lynch. So we had a really interesting week when it came to Becky Lynch's character, because WWE tried to turn her heel at SummerSlam when she attacked Charlotte after Charlotte stole that 3-way match from her. And last week on SmackDown, Becky came out and gave a big, long promo, heel 101, and the main thrust of it was, you, the audience, never had my back. Screw all of you. I hate you.
Yay,
Well,
Becky.
Yeah, and they kept cheering her, even though she was tearing them down.
Right.
I loved all the memes I saw afterwards of, her basically being like, screw you guys, I hate you. And they're like, we love you, Becky. What do I have to do to get booed? And then while we were recording last week's show, almost while we were recording, and then shortly after, like for the rest of the weekend, Road Dogg, who books SmackDown, one of the bookers for SmackDown, one of the writers, came out and tried to defend their booking of Becky as a heel and saying, well, we told the story, you guys just got it wrong. It was basically the thrust of what he was going for, saying, oh yeah, we built a great storyline. You should be booing her because she's a heel now. And kind of glossing over the fact that the story they told was the reason that the audience is still cheering her. Because, based on the story they told, Becky is completely in the right to be frustrated and pissed off and want to kick Charlotte's ass.
Yes.
And based on the character that they've built for her. So it was almost, I'm having a hard time still wrapping my mind around the fact that Road Dogg was coming out. And by the way, go to his Twitter. And I think he left most of it. I don't think he erased it. He left most of it, this discussion up, defending how they had written Becky's character up to this point and saying, no, she's a freaking heel, guys. Boo her. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that he couldn't see that it wasn't just like a section of the crowd misinterpreted their story. It was everyone was on the same page. They were cheering Becky. She's getting huge pops. She got another huge pop this week. We had another match. It was the rematch between Carmella and Charlotte for the title.
I was waiting for the R-Truth run-in myself.
R-Truth did show up on the show with Ty Dillinger. That's a nice little, I like what they're doing with them. It's fun. I'm curious to see what happens there. But yeah, at the end of the match, Charlotte wins clean, taps out Carmella in the figure eight, and then immediately Becky rushes the ring, beats the absolute crap out of Charlotte to an ovation from the crowd. And afterwards saying, I'm coming for your title, bitch. And now she's swearing. Which
she's
the crowd,
mean. She's using bad words.
which the crowd
Boo
ate
her.
up as well. So the damage control since last SmackDown and the whole debacle with Road Dogg on Twitter has been that they now, if you go on YouTube, the official WWE YouTube, they've taken out the part in her speech last week where she disses the crowd. They have, even in social media, they've started to let both of them have a point and have her not be so directly heelish. And it seems like they're pivoting more towards Becky as anti-hero who has a point, Charlotte as face who has a point. Two women who are not necessarily a face, not necessarily a heel. They're just ex-friends who both have a reason to be mad at each other, which I think is a good pivot. And if they continue to do it, it could be a really interesting story. This has been an interesting story since they've run it. I've gone on record as saying it's one of my favorite storylines in WWE right now.
Sure, me
because
too.
there's so many layers to it, so many levels to it, and there's so much detail in each of the characters.
Well, I made some comments throughout the week leading up to the show today that I just kind of want to justify. And now that I've seen everything that has happened over the last 2 weeks, it's really, if they do this right, this could go down as one of the best double turns that we've seen in a really, really long time, maybe ever. If he will allow the ship to steer itself into this thing where Charlotte just really flips out. Maybe Becky gets the title off of her and it just embroils Charlotte to the point where she's beating the hell out of her with a chair, and it will easily get the boos that the backstage is wanting for Becky.
Yeah.
And Becky will continue to get this babyface support and elation from the crowd, and we will have, wow.
See, but
If once that happens, if it happens, and I think it will, we're off and running because that's going to go.
Counterpoint, I would actually say that you could still run this as both of them, crossing, like both of them straddling that line.
Sure.
And keep it where, they both have a point and not really have either of them go full face or full heel, have an anti-hero versus an angry face or however you want to play it, have the crowd be cheering for both of them and still have it be a good feud. I don't even think you have to turn Charlotte heel. You know what I mean? Not full heel. I think that it might help, and I think that Charlotte is getting those kind of, dare I say, Roman Reigns-ish boos right now because people are starting to perceive her as being the company woman.
Yep.
Which is they got to be careful with that. That's a dangerous game to be playing.
It's almost the opposite of what they're trying to do with Becky is almost the opposite of what they were doing with Roman. Like Roman comes out to just massive boos when they're trying to get him cheered. Becky's coming out to massive cheers when they're trying to get her booed.
Well, and this is the thing.
It's the same problem.
They have a hard time creating an anti-establishment underdog. That's something that has to happen organically,
yes,
or it doesn't happen. And they seem to also have a hard time once it starts happening, knowing what to do with it. Knowing how to let it organically grow. So it is hard to watch them struggle with it sometimes. And you just want them to step back and be like, cool, we're just going to see what happens with this.
Yeah.
And this is one situation where I think that's definitely the case. Speaking of anti-establishment underdogs, Daniel Bryan had a match with Andrade Cien Almas.
Mind blowing.
This week.
I never would have seen this coming from a mile away.
Dude, it tells you what because I've had people online tell me that they're not pushing Andrade yet. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's
Then
on
you're not watching
TV.
SmackDown.
Yeah, you're not watching SmackDown. This is a push. When you're wrestling the biggest guys in the company with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and Rusev, and you're getting on TV almost every week, you're getting a damn push. Andrade's getting pushed. He's getting tons of TV time, and he looks amazing in all of his matches. He went in there with Daniel Bryan, and here's the thing. I liked what they did. A lot of people were pissed because why would you give this away on TV?
I was one of those.
They didn't. They gave us a taste of what these guys can do, and then had the Miz and Maurice interrupt at the end to disqualify the match. So they didn't really give us Daniel Bryan versus Andrade. They gave us a nice little taste. They're like, hey, this could be cool, huh? And I feel like it was their way of saying, would this work? How more testing of Andrade to see if he works on a major stage, and of course he does. Yeah, this was a ton of fun.
Hang on, I gotta weigh in here for a second.
And also, is a great way to get more heat on Miz because he interrupted what could have been a classic.
What my fear is that we took something that is a classic kind of setup, dream match between Almas and Daniel Bryan, and turned it into what is inevitably going to be a triple threat mixed tag thing with Selena Vega, Almas, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, and Miz and Maurice.
I would watch the hell out of that match.
I would too, but it's not what I want.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time,
let those two have a solid 30-minute match and beat the shit out of each other.
But you know what? I'm not really looking forward to Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus Miz and Maurice either. Throwing Andrade and Zelina in there would only, in my opinion, make it more like, let's go crazy. Let's go crazy with it. Why not? We're doing it anyway, right? I just want Miz and Daniel Bryan, or Daniel Bryan and Andrade. I don't need all the other stuff around it, but if they're going to put other stuff around it, let's go nuts. Why not? And I've heard people speculate that we're going towards a triple threat. I would be so down for that because it would be madness. It'd be a lot of fun.
I disagree with you.
Okay, well.
I disagree. As much as I enjoyed the mixed match challenge, I disagree. I think that is the wrong. Make sure that when you're doing all this crazy stuff over on Raw that makes my head explode, and now you're taking away some of the purity of the in-ring competition between actual superstars over on SmackDown Live with the opportunities, that you're not letting Raw poo-poo all over what you would normally do on SmackDown Live by introducing all of these kind of the mixed tag stuff with all these extra rules. I want Bryan and Almas. I want Bryan and Miz. I want actual matches. Let Samoa Joe and AJ Styles continue to go nuts. Leave SmackDown alone. I don't know why. Let Raw fumble its way around.
I think they are, in a lot of ways, SmackDown is a lot cleaner than Raw is. So I don't have that same complaint. And in this particular instance, like, I don't mind if I'd like Miz and Daniel Bryan to run the rest of the year. And if it's like throwing a stipulation match in there. Okay, we have a match where their wives get involved. Fine, as long as this goes for a long time, we see a bunch of different looks at it. It's fun. It's fun. I don't mind it at all.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
Fair enough. Moving on, we need to talk about The New Day, which opened the show with a five-time championship celebration with, of all people who should come out and induct them into the five-time championship club, King Booker. This was fun. I thought it was a little bit goofy, and like with a lot of comedy things, it went on a little bit too long and was a little bit too much. And, you know, at another instance of, I don't know. It was a little too silly, but at the same time, God, it was a lot of fun.
I loved this.
It was a lot of fun.
And especially to open it with New Day as the new champs, and then to be doing their thing with their kind of coronation ceremony in the ring with the belt sitting up on the table, and all of a sudden we get the old King Booker music.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he even came out with the accent and everything.
Oh, and was giving them all like anointed names except for Big E, because he already has one.
You already have one. You're big.
Right.
But
I thought this was fantastic. More of this.
Yeah, it was cute, and like many things with New Day, it's obnoxiously cutesy and funny, but damn it, they pull it off somehow. Where it's like, I still call back to the rap battle between them and the Usos, which I do not know how they made that as enjoyable as it was. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That should have been awful.
Yep.
That should have been unwatchable, and yet it's still in my memory as being one of the funniest things of last year.
Well, at the end of this segment, we cut over to the sidelines by the commentator area, and there's a new table getting set up.
Yeah.
With orange banners for the New Day to come in and sit on commentary.
That seems to be a thing where they're now having New Day do commentary a lot, and that'll put a lot of the footage up on YouTube, which is great, by the way, because their commentary is hilarious. But then we had the first of 2 triple threat tag team matches for the #1 contendership for the New Day's titles.
Now they're kind of this is exactly the kind of stuff I like.
And
Throw everybody in the ring, and whoever wins gets a chance.
Because we've got 6 legit tag teams on SmackDown besides the New Day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now that the Bludgeon Brothers are gone, we had 8 legit tag teams on SmackDown. That's, compared to Raw, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That they could pull out 8 tag teams who we can all look. Because here's the thing. Guess who came back this week? The Colognes came back to face off against the Club and the Bar. Gallows, Anderson, and then Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah.
The Colognes come back. Here's the thing. As much as their gimmick was just ridiculous when they first came out with it and had like the pamphlets for the timeshares in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. But then they get in the ring and they can wrestle so well. They're really good. This was a fantastic match. Like, it was a really watchable, well-wrestled match for the most part. Between 3 tag teams that all look legit. And I definitely didn't think the Clones were going to win. But there were a couple times I'm like, they could. It's not for the finals.
Yeah.
They could pull this off. They looked and felt like a legit team.
I actually thought they were going to pull the trigger on the club here on Anderson and Gallows.
Same.
That was my and not that they would end up being the #1 contenders, but going to that next match, I thought that would be a fantastic piece of shine for them, because they need it. Otherwise, just go back to New Japan, guys. I don't know what's happening with Anderson and Gallows.
Hey, man, Anderson never had abs like this in New Japan. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Something's going right for him. Yeah. No, I did think that. I thought it was going to be the club was going to beat the Colognes, so to protect the Bar. But nope, the club loses to the Bar, and the Bar is going forward. Next week we have Sanity versus the Usos versus Rusev Day.
Yes, please.
Who got put into a tag match. I'm sensing something wrong in the state of Denmark with Rusev Day. They were all a little bit too happy with each other backstage.
You could have said that 2 weeks ago, but now he's redeemed himself,
they're
and they're all
swerved.
Then it's working.
All right, I know.
Reel me in, because I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on #Team Aiden. So it's anything to keep Aiden around is good news.
We'll
for me.
see. The fact that they are having Rusev Day be a legit tag team next week, I'm very curious what they do with that.
Okay.
I'm very curious to see how that fits into the storyline with the Usos and Sanity. I have a feeling Usos going over here with some sort of shenanigans going on with Rusev Day, Usos and Bar facing off the week after that.
I didn't want the Bar to win this, and I don't want the Usos to win. I was hoping that this was an opportunity to make somebody besides the 3 tag teams have a chance at the titles. I really thought that this was going to be, of these 6 teams that are competing, you've got 4 of them that really haven't had much to do. And I want to see one of those, whether they sneak it out, whether they cheat to get there, whatever it is, give another team a chance besides what we've been watching for the last 2 to 3 years.
Rusev Day felt very face in their backstage segment.
Yes.
Very face.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, the other option is Rusev Day goes over and then goes and faces the New Day and loses in a tag match for the championship.
You know what? I'm gonna make a stretch bet on this one, and we're gonna do our picks in a couple of weeks. But I'm looking at Sanity going, yeah, I could see this. I could see Sanity going.
I think Sanity's already heading down the ascension path. Moving on to another big feud, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe still stalking AJ Styles' wife. AJ Styles came out, cut a promo on Samoa Joe, saying, "Come to the ring, I'll kick your ass." Joe out in the parking lot on the cell phone with AJ Styles' wife.
Trying to get her to come to catering to have some barbecue or something.
Yes, well, no, he was going to show up at her barbecue.
They were going to have
event.
a barbecue, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to show up and we'll hang out and I'll come with you to the parent-teacher meeting."
This is getting so fun.
Well, I got shades of DDP, stalker DDP.
On.
Out of this. I didn't like it this week. I think it's too much. Dude, this is now, instead of a dick punch, it's going to be AJ's wife. Like, can't we just have these guys just be mad at each other because they don't like? All right, a little bit of AJ's wife is fine. I've liked the stuff they did with it so far. Don't overdo it. Don't make everything about the dick punch. Don't make everything about AJ's wife. Do you know what I mean? Find more nuances to it. And both these guys are doing the best they can with it. You know, they're making it very entertaining, and Joe is just fantastic.
What if this goes all the way back to Elizabeth with Hogan and Macho Man, and it becomes a thing?
What?
Yeah.
What?
What if Joe ends up stealing AJ's wife?
Dude, no.
I'm just saying.
That's the opposite of what I was just saying. I was just saying less AJ's wife, and now you're saying more AJ's wife.
I mean, if they're going to do it, I mean, go for it, you know?
No, that applies to Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien almost being added to the Daniel Bryan and Miz feud.
Sure.
If you're going to go for it, go for it. Throw everything at it. In this feud, no. Take the thing out of it. Less AJ's wife. Little bit of AJ's wife just to get him riled up, and then...
Andrea nailed it in the chat. Overdoing it is all they know how to do. I agree with that. Well said. Well said. What's happening with Joe and AJ Styles? I don't care. Let them get hands on each other. They're going to tear the house down.
Yeah,
whatever
I can't wait for
they
the next
do,
match.
whatever.
Can't
just
wait for the next
line
match.
them up for the next 3 to 4 months.
Just don't have his wife in the house for the next show, please.
Fine. Whether she's there or not is irrelevant to me.
You know what I can't wait for, though, is something else we learned about this week. So Hell in a Cell is coming up. We already know about one cell match between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. We know about another cell match now between Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy is getting his wish. He's openly stated for years he wanted to have a Hell in a Cell match. He's never had it. A guy that, if you look at his style and his career, you can't imagine how he's never had a Hell in a Cell match.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But here's the thing.
All he wants to do is swanton onto an announce table off the top of the cell.
He's going to die.
Yeah.
Nick, we're watching a man try to commit suicide here, and I'm worried about Jeff Hardy.
Me too.
Because
all joking, all kayfabe, everything aside, that is
exactly.
That is, I'm genuinely concerned that this dude is setting himself up to, I don't want to say martyr, but go down as doing something crazy.
Yeah, I think ever since the Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell, WWE has taken extreme measures to protect people who have no sense in their heads about taking bumps, like Mankind, like Jeff Hardy. They've taken a lot more care in trying to protect them against their worst impulses. So I have a feeling that they will do their best to protect Jeff Hardy from himself. But at the same time, I think you and I both know Jeff Hardy's going to do some stupid shit in this cell.
Yep.
And it's going to be wildly entertaining. I know he wanted
the cell. Not in the cell.
He's going to find all kinds of creative ways to do insane stuff. But as much as his broken, messed up body will allow, I guarantee, because we both know he's having major back problems right now.
Yep.
I guarantee he's just, no selling that to be able to have this cell match. He wanted to have it against The Undertaker, which is what his dream match was. I got to say, dude, Randy Orton's a pretty good, from like a legendary standpoint, he's nowhere near on the same level as The Undertaker, but he's a legit guy to have a Hell in a Cell match against.
Absolutely. And bring all the implements in outside the edge of the ring. Yeah, it's going to be madness.
Yep.
It's going to be absolutely crazy.
And speaking of Punjabi Prison, Randy does need to atone for that match. So this, I think, is a good way of doing that. And hopefully this is another case where overdoing it, which is what they're very good at, this is where I hope overdoing it pays off well.
Yep. Wrapping up SmackDown here, we had a match with Billie Kay facing off against Naomi.
Yeah, so now Naomi's lost 2 weeks in a row to each member of the Iconics through some shenaniganry, but she still lost each one. This just screams Naomi finding a tag team member to me. We're starting the women's tag division. Naomi's going to go find someone to tag with and come back, and then have
anybody in mind?
You know what? I told myself to think about it and think who she was gonna tag with. Maybe Lana. Maybe Lana.
That's really what it comes down.
Because Lana's doing Rusev Day stuff, but Rusev Day's off being a male tag team next week, so Lana's got not a whole lot to do. So
be a good way to get the Iconics over. Even more,
Yeah, no, more Iconics on my TV.
I feel the general feeling for me is that they're starting to get a little bit long in the tooth. They're starting to get a little bit annoying already. They're fantastic. I 100% agree with you that they're fantastic.
Calm down there, Meltzer. What the hell?
But I didn't say that she was lighter in NXT.
Are you saying she's getting older? Really?
No.
Longer in the tooth? Nick.
This whole gimmick is starting to get a little bit like I want to see them do more, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I agree with that. I'm more like I said earlier, more Iconics the merrier. So I know a lot of people are irritated by their promos. I love their promos.
I actually enjoy them.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm worried about. Other than the last 2 weeks, which have been great, even though it's only been against Naomi, think what you want. But at the same time, I know they're both capable in-ring performers.
Oh, yeah. They're
capable.
very good.
And I want to see them have some of the matches that like they used to have in NXT. Peyton used to put on some amazing matches in NXT. They've got the capability. I feel like they're being relegated to this comedy duo thing that's just becoming snarky and annoying. So,
but again, that is a trope you see a lot in WWE where if they're a comedy, they can't be taken seriously. And I think that if they let them be these kind of goofy, bratty Aussie chicks outside the ring and then get in and actually be able to work, it'd do a lot for them.
Yeah.
I mean, look how they turned around the Riot Squad from being this kind of like goofy little ditzy chicks to chicks that can actually get in there and kick ass.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, no, not all hope is lost yet, but I'm
one quick
starting
last
to get
note.
Fearful of them.
One quick last note. Speaking of fearful, Nakamura's not doing anything. He's the U.S. champ. He actually said online on WWE.com that he's waiting for a real challenger. There's no one out there he really respects, so he's not going to take any challengers until there's someone comes along that he really respects. It's their way of keeping him with the belt and off TV until they actually have a feud for him, which I'm fine with. Don't have him on there for no reason.
Let Joe and AJ run its course.
Get another face around there. Call up EC3, like whatever. Get another big face on SmackDown and have him face off against Nakamura. But until then, don't just throw Nakamura on TV for no reason.
Somebody posted a video in the Busted Wide Open Facebook group this week where it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and Shane McMahon came in, and he had his enforcers with him, and one of them was EC3, and the other one was Cesaro.
It was Aiden English.
And
was it Cesaro? It was Cesaro?
Yeah.
They look very similar with hair.
When they have the handlebar, the Fu Manchu mustache going on. Oh, man. Well, guys, that's it for SmackDown Live and the main roster of WWE, but we're not done. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about over in the wide world of wrestling.
Well, starting off with NXT, Johnny Gargano came back. He's got a busted leg because he tried to knee Ciampa's head off the last pay-per-view, but busted his knee instead. And he is all kinds of messed up in the head, Nick.
Yes, he is. We've seen the darkness. The turn has happened. He has arrived. He has himself admittedly become Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, in the words of Mr. Perfect, they're stealing my moves. They're wrestling this match perfectly. They're absolutely nailing everything with Johnny Gargano here. He even came out and said, I'm becoming the very thing I hate. I became Tommaso Ciampa at the last pay-per-view. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm letting everybody down. I let all you guys down. I'm breaking promises to everyone. I'm a mess. I don't know what to do. In the middle of all this, William Regal comes out, and the whole episode, by the way, was the beginning of William Regal trying to get to the bottom of who attacked Aleister Black, interviewing all sorts of people. We'll get into that. But he came out and basically said, Johnny, did you do this? And Johnny never said yes, and he never said no. He just said, look into my eyes, and you'll get your answer.
You've known me for a really long time.
Yeah. But in the middle of all this, Velveteen Dream comes out and basically goes, man, shut your mouth.
Why?
Because why not? It's Velveteen Dream. Okay. He does what he wants. He came out to the ring and ended up getting booked in a match against Johnny next week. and then taken back to William Regal's office where he was interrogated about his actions when it came to good old Aleister Black. I liked William Regal, the way William Regal promoted how Aleister will return, where he said, before Aleister Black comes back and burns this place to the ground, I've got to try and get to the bottom of this so he doesn't just take us all out. That's a great way of selling how dangerous Black's going to be when he comes back, and then, possibly going back to like the old, scarier Aleister Black.
Yes, because if the only thing I saw him post on social media all week was this silhouette picture of a field and an image of death, the Grim Reaper, almost as a smoke monster, posting it with some kind of like cryptic caption going on. And I'm just like, yes,
he's so edgy.
He's back.
He's so edgy.
Oh, bring him back. No, just don't say a word.
Yep.
And just murder everybody.
Yes, what we were saying he's best at is the silent killer. If they bring him back like that, they'll be nailing it again. He does have a great song. It's one of the few. You know what? So it used to be back in the day, like there's a lot of wrestling songs that I could listen to and just be like, "This is a great song," even though, like in hindsight, it really wasn't. Aleister Black has possibly like the most listenable song. Like him and Minoru Suzuki are the two songs that, and Tanahashi have like those. They have those theme songs. I'll just blast in my car.
Lars Sullivan's for mine.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just da, da, da,
yeah,
da, and I'm sitting at a traffic light just headbanging.
It's kind of boring to me. I don't know. So we also had a match between Aaliyah and Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai looking more and more like Bayley 2.0. Aaliyah looking a lot better. I think she's improving. I liked what I saw from her in this match.
Is she in the Mae Young? Is she on the roster? I'm not 100% sure.
I don't have my note up. I can pull it up in a second here.
Because I thought the exact same thing, and I'm wondering, wow, she's been putting in work, and it's is she going to be in the Mae Young Classic next week? So I'm wondering if she's in the field.
I'm 90% no.
Okay.
It is.
Let's see if Chat can beat you. Chat, is Aaliyah going to be in the Mae Young Classic?
No, she is not.
Nope. Okay. I think, well, it's probably it's probably for the better, but at the same time, I like the upside on her is strong. Got a great look, love the outfit, love the song. She's doing the right things with the crowd, and the in-ring performance is getting better.
It reminded me, and then we'll move on. It reminded me a little bit of watching Bayley versus Carmella if Carmella could wrestle better. Although Carmella had a good wrestling match this week.
She's fine.
Yeah,
she's totally fine.
So. Also, EC3 still has a messed up eye thanks to Velveteen Dream at the last pay-per-view. He was supposed to have a match with Raul Mendoza, who I still say is wildly underrated.
Which I was really looking forward to until he gets leveled in the back by Lars Sullivan.
Yeah, just
allegedly.
Allegedly. It wasn't allegedly. Lars came out to the ring and admitted it. He says, unlike with Aleister Black.
Okay, you just spoiled the whole thing. All we saw was a spot of him walking out the long end of the hallway. Until later, he does come out and admits that I kicked his ass. Fine.
That's not spoiler. That's telling the story, Nick. It's like you just said the same thing.
No, I didn't.
Anyway, Lars Sullivan ends up coming out in the place of EC3, who he left lying in the back, and had a match. He didn't even have a match with Raul Mendoza. He just killed him. The bell never rang.
Yeah.
He just murdered Raul Mendoza, who, by the way, as I said, is amazing. And even if he's going to be a career enhancement guy, he's so good at selling. He sold Lars Sullivan like death. I mean, it's not hard to sell Lars Sullivan.
I was
going to
say that's not difficult because he hurts.
But he really sold it well. So this was the return of the monster Lars Sullivan. Lars is back. We're not sure if he had anything to do with Aleister Black. He says he doesn't.
He's my pick, honestly.
I know he is, but he's just too obvious.
Yep.
Another obvious pick would be Tommaso Ciampa, who gave a fantastic promo this week, basically saying that, he's on top and y'all can kiss his butt. We still don't know who his next challenger is going to be. Who do you think?
Adam Cole.
Adam Cole?
Yep.
He is not doing anything right now, and he's due for... I mean, he's getting nothing but face reactions.
I don't think we'll get it till November Survivor Series takeover and whatnot. But it's. I think Adam Cole's probably next in line.
Yeah, so I mean, they have a few weeks to let Adam Cole. I don't think they'll make him full face, but they'll definitely play him more face-ish if he does go against. I mean, here's the thing: anyone's a face against Tommaso Ciampa at this point. He's the heeliest heel in all of WWE, I would say.
I'll give you
Is
that.
anyone more heelish than him right now?
I don't think so.
No.
I really don't.
No.
Chat, what do you think? Anybody more heel than Ciampa?
Adam Cole gets face reactions against huge baby faces.
That pop that they had when they came out for their match later that night with the tag match. Holy smokes! Everybody's going boom with that. Holy crap, dude.
Speaking of big pops, I popped big when we had a match between this guy named Luke Menzies, who I hadn't heard of before. Apparently, he's a rugby player who's transitioning into wrestling. Still very green. I popped because his opponent, the fabulous, the luminescent, the limitless Keith Lee. Another nice showcase match for Keith Lee. I thought his last one was more of a showcase for the guy he was fighting. Who you know what I mean?
Survived.
Skinny Walter. I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
But this week it was a little bit more of Keith Lee looking like a beast and putting another big boy.
This dude
down.
wasn't small. Yeah.
No, he's a big boy.
He's jacked. And he did that the running thing that he does where he throws a shoulder into him and the dude just went flying. Sold it awesome.
Pounce. He did the pounce. I mean, I'm always scared when Keith Lee does a pounce because I'm waiting to see some dude fly out of the ring like we've seen happen. Yeah. Oh, just into backstage, into orbit, like Ronda's mic.
Can I ask a favor of you real quick? Can you do me a favor? Can you close your eyes and I want you to imagine Keith Lee versus Braun Strowman. Because it's gonna happen in the future. Nick. We're gonna get that. It's gonna be amazing. I also want to say it is incredible. I'm not over it yet. It's incredible to see Ricochet and Keith Lee, two of our favorites from PWG of the last few years, just doing so well on NXT so fast, so quickly. And we knew they would.
Here's the other thing: is before you start, putting people on the main roster, I'd love to have a conversation sometime about people's ceilings, like how high we think people can rise in WWE, like given the best possible circumstances. Like what's Adam Cole's ceiling? What's Ricochet's ceiling? What's Johnny Gargano's ceiling? Like what's the highest we could see them getting? Keith Lee would be a great example of that. In the meantime, they are in NXT right now. And in NXT, if you're looking at the roster that they're building, the possibility of the matches that they can have is mind-boggling.
Limitless.
For dudes like us who've seen a lot of these guys on the indies for the last few years. Yes, limitless. You son of a. I'm thinking about, the matches that I've seen live. Ricochet versus Keith Lee. Matt Riddle versus Keith Lee. Matt Riddle versus Ricochet.
Ricochet versus Jeff Cobb versus Keith Lee.
If Jeff Cobb ever goes to WWE. Donovan Dijak versus Keith Lee. They're both in NXT right now. Adam Cole versus any of them. It's Roderick Strong versus any of them. Kyle O'Reilly. Like the men's roster right now in the NXT. And I'm not even getting into the women's roster yet. The men's roster is insane. When Matt Riddle comes out as well, who I think a lot of people are not ready for how good that guy is. It's going to be insane how good NXT is going to be in about 6 months. It already is.
Yeah. If you think where it's at right now versus there's still a lingering little bit of stuff from kind of the previous generation, dare I say the Bobby Roode era from last year that is still carried over that we're still dealing with.
TNA era?
Sure. But I think the next year, I think 2019 for NXT is because we're almost at this point where we're cutting off into a whole new roster, whole new thing, other than like the DIY feud going on and some of the Aleister Black. I mean, we're moving forward into a whole new generation of superstars coming up out of NXT and out of the indies.
It's why I think them making the North American Championship belt was a really smart move because that's basically become the indie darling belt.
Yes.
Whoever the indie darling flavor of the month is that comes along gets that belt. So whatever, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see more, especially if we get matches like the main event of the night, which was Undisputed Era, represented by the way, not O'Reilly and Strong. Tonight, because of Freebird rules, they were able to have Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, which I thought was interesting, versus Ricochet and Pete Dunne, which actually I didn't even think of how much it made sense till they started the match because Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong have history because of their tag team match. Yep. And that's when Roderick Strong turned heel. He turned heel on Pete Dunne. Adam Cole and Ricochet just had a match at the last takeover where Ricochet stole the belt from Adam Cole. Didn't steal it, he won it. The point is there's history. In addition, it looks like we're building towards a match between Ricochet and Pete Dunne, where they're having some communication issues with Ricochet accidentally doing a outside moonsault onto Pete Dunne at the end, costing Pete Dunne and himself the victory. So
I like where this is going.
Ricochet and Pete Dunne. Wow. Yes. I'll take more of that, please. But another great match.
All day.
And then at the end of the match, we had another build to War Raiders versus Undisputed Era. I'm curious where that goes because War Raiders kind of have to win this feud to be seen as legit. And that means Undisputed Era loses another set of belts. So I'm very curious what the end game is with War Raiders and Undisputed Era.
Just like the NXT UK match at Royal Albert Hall, I don't think it matters that much, to be honest with you. Let them come in, let them establish and legitimize themselves. Everybody knows their history and their legacy from New Japan.
I don't think everyone does know. That's kind of what I'm saying. Is that they
really?
No, I don't think everyone knows that. I think they did a good job. Like with like TM61, now known as the Mighty, they put together great promo packages about their history so that we know their history, but a lot of people don't know their history. A lot of people don't know who these people
Full Sail
are.
is singing Bask in His Glory to Keith Lee, and he's been there 2 weeks.
Yeah, because they all go look him up and know who he is, or some of them may have seen some of his matches.
Sure, but they have.
First time I ever saw Keith Lee, I didn't know him from Adam. I was singing Bask in His Glory.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So it's that doesn't mean that they all know his history and know everything about him.
Fair point. Fair point. I'm saying I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and understand like what a legit tag team war machine used to be, is whatever you.
I don't know that
verb
translates.
You want to use.
I don't know that translates. But anyway, we got to move on through NXT here. A couple more things about the Aleister Black investigation. We did have the Forgotten Sons show up in a little backstage segment saying
funny
that they
I
didn't
had
have,
forgotten about them.
I think we all forgot about them. Hey, Wesley Blake, remember him?
That guy.
Yeah, the guy who used to be the most recognizable member of those Dubstep Cowboys, whatever you want to call them, the tag team with him and Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy now being one of the best things on 205 Live. And now Wesley Blake relegated to the Forgotten Sons.
Well, they should have called them the Techno Vikings. It would have been better.
That was not.
All right, moving on.
That was not the name I originally had for them. It was much ruder. But we also had probably my favorite segment of the whole show, which was Nikki Cross spinning in a chair being interviewed by William Regal, and William Regal not being able to get a straight answer out of this crazy chick, and then having Bianca Belair come in and asking why she's waiting for so long, and then her interaction with Nikki Cross was just priceless.
Yeah. Those two have been doing some improv classes or something, but just Nikki just kept trying to grab her ponytail the whole time.
Yeah.
Bianca, meanwhile, wearing my hair.
Bianca, meanwhile, wearing a shirt that says, "Don't touch my hair."
Right.
And it looks like we're heading towards a Bianca Belair Nikki Cross feud. Yes. That's a fantastic idea. Nikki apparently does know who beat up Aleister Black.
I know a secret.
I've got a secret, and you don't know what it is. It's fantastic. Looking forward to more of that. More Nikki and William Regal, please. Love their chemistry.
Hey, speaking of that side of the world, Birch and Lorcan are coming back in 2 weeks.
Can't wait for them either.
Woo!
Yep. Moving over to 205 Live, we had a couple matches on this show. Again, very watchable. If you're not watching 205 Live, you're missing out. It is some great wrestling. I hope more people get into this show. Akira Tozawa defeated Brian Kendrick in a great match. I don't know how it relates to the fact that we have an ongoing feud between Drew Gulak and Cedric Alexander. Because obviously Kendrick, one of Gulak's goons, but maybe.
Yeah, but where's Tozawa fit into this?
That's
whole
what I'm saying.
picture?
Maybe Tozawa gets involved with Cedric somehow, and I don't know. We have a tag match. Hideo Itami has been murdering people recently and not taking the pins. He's been beating them up instead of pinning them, pulling them up, and beating them up some more. This week he tried it again as a way to call out Mustafa Ali, the heart of 205 Live, the man of justice, the man that Hideo apparently injured. I guess now they're saying that Hideo is the one that injured him and put him in the hospital.
Okay.
But Ali came out, chased Hideo out. It looks like we're going to have a Hideo Itami and Mustafa Ali feud. That sounds like a great plan to me.
Okay.
I'm all in for that. And then finally, we had a fantastic match between Buddy Murphy and Kalisto with Tony Nese and the rest of the Lucha House Party on the outside of the ring. Fantastic match. Buddy Murphy did defeat Kalisto. At the end of this, Buddy Murphy on a still being the juggernaut on this show, but I do recommend going and checking out that match. It's pretty awesome. More 205 Live news down in our other news segment because it was something that was announced this morning about 205 Live, but we'll get into that when we talk about the other news later on in the show. But it does relate to 205 Live.
Now, Ian, I know you write most of the show for us here. Me personally, I would have put this in the big news at the top. But moving over to Lucha Underground, Taya and Johnny Mundo tied the knot and got married on Lucha Underground this week.
Had it in our big news segment when they actually got married.
Yeah, but this is on TV.
Anyway,
and Johnny sang a song to her in Spanish.
Yes, he did. There was a lot of
horrifyingly hilarious to watch.
This was an
so bad.
Lucha Underground has been really bizarre this season.
Yes.
It's been really, really weird. Like they pivoted out of this kind of comic book badassery, and now they're just being weird. Just weird. Like Antonio Cueto coming out and promising everyone tacos during the wedding. And the wedding, of course, was busted up because Ricky Mundo decided to go insane and go let
turn loose Matanza.
Go let Matanza out of his cage. So Matanza comes out and kills everybody. And he actually ended up personally like going mostly after Taya, which makes me think we're going to have a Taya and Matanza feud, and possibly even going into having like a match at Ultima Lucha 4. But yeah, this was bizarre. The whole show this week was kind of weird. You had a no mas match, or like an I Quit match between Jack Evans and Exolicious. Exolicious does win with help from Ivelisse and Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan is helping Exolicious. He had a little bit of a change of heart, but I think he's pulling a fast one here.
Yeah.
But it was
Joey Ryan does.
It was a good match. Exolicious, I think, is awesome. Really underrated. We had Jake Strong and Drago had a match. I really want to like Jake Strong, but he's just kind of vanilla at this point. They need to give us something about his character other than he's big and angry. There's
got to be more.
Yeah,
we've already got that in Brian Cage. He's the machine, right?
Right, and Cage is more believable with it
because he's just jokes.
Jake Strong just looks bored, to be honest. But he had a match against Drago, submitted him, and then got chased off by Aerostar once he tried to beat up Drago after the match. So Lucha Underground again, last week we had a haunted house match
with pumpkins.
And this week we have a bizarre wedding being interrupted by a guy in a Jason mask.
He slammed
who surprisingly smells really nice.
Really?
Matanza? Oh, he smells delicious.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, I was talking about last week.
Contrary to what Michael Elgin will tell you.
The giant pumpkin getting smashed over somebody and it didn't break.
Over the Mac.
I've tried to punch through a pumpkin before and I've ended up with bloody knuckles.
Yeah. That had to have been a 30-pound pumpkin that got dropped on the Mac.
Oh, God. And it didn't break or anything. I mean, just
ow! Boom.
That'll break your back.
It'll mess you up, that's for sure. Luckily, the Mac has some cushion so he can take it.
Sticking with Lucha stuff, we did have a big, massive...
Huge.
I posted a picture of it in the Facebook group. I couldn't believe there had to have been 100,000 people at this event. Yeah. I don't have an official number.
Triple A's Triple Mania.
Holy smokes. Mm-hmm. Run it down for us.
So Triple Mania is... Triple A's WrestleMania. It's their biggest promotion of the year. If you don't know what Triple A, there's two major lucha promotions in Mexico: CMLL and Triple A. Right. Triple A currently, when Lucha Underground first started, they fed a lot of their talent into Lucha Underground because they had an association with Vampiro. Vampiro is one of the bookers for Triple A. He's also one of their color commentary guys. If you're listening to English commentary, which, by the way, was hilarious because he was trying to call the show at the same time as he was trying to run the book on the show. And at one point, he's supposed to get in the ring and face down Conan, and he's screaming at the guys in the truck to play his music while still on commentary. And Stryker's trying to explain why he's doing that in kayfabe. It was kind of a insanity, but It was a crazy, crazy show, way more violent than I really thought it was going to be. So just running it down really quickly because we got to go here. Sammy Guevara, who we know from local PWG, a local PWG boy. He defeated Australian Suicide, ACH, and Shane Strickland, a.k.a. Killshot, for the Cruiserweight belt. He is now the Triple A Cruiserweight champion. Bandito and Flamita, who we also know from around here, they defeated Aerostar and Drago, Golden Magic and Laredo Kid, and DJZ and Andrew Everett for the #1 tag team contendership, which is completely earned. Bandito and Flamita, if you have not seen them, are next level luchadors. Absolutely incredible. OGT, there's two crazy big factions, OGT and Mad. They had a lumberjack match that was a lot of fun. Total chaos. That's one of the places where Vampiro and Conan got into it. I'll discuss that in a second. We had a street fight between La Máscara, Rey Escorpion, El Tejano Jr. and then the team of Joe Leiter, Pagano, and Murder Clown. This was not a street fight. This was a death match. This was like glass tubes, and flaming bullwhips.
Holy smokes.
It was absolutely insanity. You can watch all this on YouTube, on AAA's YouTube channel. They have it all. It was freaking ridiculous. This is one that I was shocked by how violent it got. There was a Spanish fly off the ramp through a flaming table in this match.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it was nuts. We had Lady Shani, who I think is fantastic. I'm actually surprised she was not in the Mae Young Classic this year. Lady Shani defeated Fabi Apache. It was a mask versus hair match, and so Fabi Apache got shaved.
Okay.
Shani's not losing her damn mask. So for the heavyweight championship, we had a fatal 4-way. It was actually kind of a strange. This
I remember us
Phoenix,
talking about this last week.
Yeah. So Jeff Jarrett is the heavyweight champ of AAA because Lucha. What? He won it through some shenaniganry off of Dr. Wagner Jr.
Right.
So, but that shenaniganry was basically La Parca came out and helped him. Well, in this match, same sort of thing. It was Jeff Jarrett defending his championship against Phoenix, Rich Swann, and Brian Cage. At the end of the match, a guy dressed up as La Parca comes out of the crowd, distracts Jeff Jarrett. Phoenix gets a cutter on him, picks up the win. Phoenix, our boy, is your new AAA mega heavyweight champion. But the guy dressed as La Parca, Dr. Wagner Jr.
Plot twist.
Dun, 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 dun. So Jeff Jarrett, Dr. Wagner, they've got some issues. They actually got booked next year, next Triple Mania. We've already booked this. We're going to have
a drinking contest.
Let's see. No, I think not next Triple Mania. Jeff Jarrett and Dr. Wagner are going to have a match. But I have to correct myself.
Okay.
We have booked a match with Dr. Wagner next year Triple Mania, but that's because of the main event where Hijo de Fantasma had a loser loses their mask match against Pentagon Jr., LA Park, and Psycho Clown. So this was the match where at the end, first of all, Pentagon shot a flaming fireball. She shot at the top of the cage. It was a cage match. If you escape the cage, you're fine, right? So two guys escape the cage, and then the last two fight to a pinfall.
Okay.
Right? The cage goes up. Pentagon's the first one out because he shot a freaking fireball while he was on the top of the cage. Shot a fireball at Psycho Clown, okay.
Who's the Psycho Clown now?
Yeah, right? So he and Psycho Clown both escape the cage. Ends up being a one-on-one match between Hijo de Fantasma and La Park. All kinds of crazy stuff goes down. At the end of the match, Fantasma does lose and loses his mask. His father and his son both come to the ring as he unmasks. He's now going around as an unmasked wrestler. He does work in Impact. He's King Cuerno in Lucha Underground, so I don't know if he's going to keep his mask there. But he did get unmasked. But Dr. Wagner came out after that match and cut a promo on La Park, who had just beaten Fantasma. And so they're the ones next year at Triple Mania, they're having a hair versus mask match. So either Wagner's going to shave himself bald. And if you've seen Dr. Wagner now that he's been unmasked, he looks like the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
Like a Mexican most interesting man in the world. I can't see him bald. He's got a beautiful head of hair.
Uh-oh.
But I don't think La Park's getting unmasked.
No.
Anyway, yeah, Triple Mania was insane. It was a lot of fun. A lot more fun than I thought it was going to be, but well worth a watch if you can go check it out.
Cool. Well, hey, let's move over and chat about some listener questions. Thank you, everybody. And if you'd like to get in on the action, you can head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for that $5 tier for the price of what it would cost you to buy Ian and myself a beer. One time a month.
Mwah.
You can have access to Ask Us Listener questions every single week on the show, as well as get a copy of the show notes.
Yeah, for the price of sponsoring a coffee for me once a week.
Yeah, exactly. Also, real quick, while we're talking about Patreon, just throw it out there. We did put up our first bonus episode for our $10 and up patrons.
Was it up?
On Roman Reigns. It went up on Monday.
Hey,
yes,
now.
it did. So that's been up all week. We love hearing your feedback, getting some good notes and stuff already, but we're looking forward to doing the next one already in September.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have that up there. Make sure you get signed up. You can still go back and listen to the Roman one whenever you want, so long as you sign up for that $10 tier.
Yeah, and the Roman one, before you get scared off and say another Roman Reigns thing, it is basically just a very clear-headed discussion of Roman Reigns, taking all the emotion out of it and just establishing who he is, why he's there, what we think of him, and just a general, kind of trying to wrap our head around the current state of WWE wrestling as it centers around Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Well, this week, our listener questions, let's just rattle them off. First one came from Rule Sheerans. Thank you very much for your support. Do you guys think All In will lead to something bigger, such as regular events or a brand new promotion?
So I've listened to Cody be interviewed about this quite a few times, and obviously you can never know what's truly going on in the guy's head, but what he's saying is it's a one day at a time thing. He needs to get through this thing before he even thinks about where this goes. So it's hard to speculate where even the guy who would do it doesn't even know. So that kind of prognostication would basically we'd be having to extrapolate based on what we know about who he is. That being said, I think there will be an All In too. I think that All In might become a yearly event, like a kind of a super indie show, if you will.
Yeah,
I could see that happening. I don't know about a new promotion because so many promotions are involved with All In.
And we already have too many of them, honestly.
I don't think there can ever be that many, but I think the competition's great. But if you think about the people that are involved in this, NWA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact are 4 big promotions that have a lot of fingers in this pie. So in a way, it's kind of above promotions. So I could see it being something where a lot of the non-WWE promotions get together to put on a super show.
Yeah.
I could see it be something like that in a yearly event. And that could be a lot of fun. That could end up being really cool. But and a genuine, I mean, nothing's going to compete with WWE at this point, but at least something.
Well, with all
big.
4 of the promotions being involved, is it something where they could just start churning out pay-per-view after pay-per-view, look at Ring of Honor and New Japan doing the one at Madison Square Garden next year?
I don't think because it's just Cody and the Young Bucks. I don't know that they're ever going to be churning these things out. But I think that it's one step at a time. Like I said, let's see what happens, how they feel after All In 2. Let's see how the landscape of the indie scene looks after WWE gets all its TV money and starts buying up a lot of talent.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because now WWE has FU money. Oh, you're putting on a nice little indie promotion there. Be a shame if someone bought all your talent. So
you get a contract, and you get a contract, and you get a contract.
Nice contract. Just have a fun time lying on your butt in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. So come hang out in shiny Orlando.
For a couple $1 million? Yes, sir.
I think the only thing that I'm skeptical about or skeptically optimistic, I should say, is that there are multiple, like 4 major promotions involved with at least procuring talent from those promotions involved in this. And I think that, to me, you can put on any event you want to, but if you don't have the talent involved or the talent available to come and populate the event, you're not going to go very far. So the promising thing for me is the fact that they do have all of these promotions involved with this massive talent pool available to come and populate. There's nothing stopping them. They could book one every 2 or 3 once a quarter next year if they wanted to. So that's the only thing stopping them is their motivation.
Well, but also
the talent's available.
But also the difficulties, as we said at the top of the show, this is not just, snap your fingers and it happens. A lot of work has to go into it, and it's not a lot of people that are putting this together.
Yeah, but they just set the precedent.
They set the precedent, but, doing it again doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to sell out in 27 minutes again. So they got to get through this one first.
Let's see what happens, yeah. Next up, Ryan Rugani, thank you for your question. Do you think if Jericho ends up wrestling in the U.S. and with the New Japan and possibly Impact, that he will be one more big piece to the puzzle? And he also noted his podcast with Cody and the Young Bucks. He seemed to want to work with them on an All-In number 2.
Oh, dude, I could absolutely see Jericho being a huge part of All-In 2 if and when it happens. I could see Jericho's the kind of guy who likes to, always be involved in doing something interesting, and he hates being bored.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why he, at a certain point with WWE, he's like, cool, Festival of Friendship, great. Time to go to New Japan and win the Intercontinental Belt. Time to make a cruise. You know what I mean? He's also one of those guys, like Cody, that loves thinking outside the box. So absolutely, I could see him being a huge piece of the puzzle. He's said he's interested. He's still buddies with Don Callis. He can Scott D'Amore. He could absolutely go to Impact, show up on Impact, and not even kind of like how we do in New Japan, where it's not in a huge capacity. He's there for like a couple of big promoted matches, and then he's out. Jericho's in that part of his career where he can do whatever the hell he damn well wants.
He's got that Fozzy money now, too.
He's got the Fozzy money now, and at a certain point, he and Vince are on good enough terms where if he feels, because initially he was like, I don't want to step on Vince's toes. Something happened somewhere where he's now going, man, I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap about Vince's toes. So either he and Vince had a talk where he said, hey, Vince, sorry for whatever I'm going to do, or Vince pissed him off or something happened where now Jericho just does not give a crap. And yeah, I could absolutely see him being a big part of whatever's going on, this kind of indie wrestling revolution.
Yeah. Jericho, to me, is one of those that could go start his own promotion if he wanted to and pull it off.
But you know what?
Hang on.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to.
Right.
He's another Cody that is ambitious that could go out there and pull it off. He's already doing the Jericho Cruise and getting talent to come out there and do matches for that. Some arguable big names are going to do that thing too on just a cruise to the Bahamas. What's to say that he couldn't book something in Dallas, Texas, and have this huge event in the middle of Texas?
See, I think the cruise is the closest thing he'll ever do to having a promotion. The cruise, if you think about it, is kind of like a floating All In some ways.
Yeah,
the way that he's done it, it's a convention meets All In,
and it's outside the U.S.
Right.
I guess technically, right?
Technically, but the point is I think that's the closest thing that he's going to do to it. He's not going to start his own promotion.
No, but I'm saying
will
he could.
join with Billy Corgan and work with the NWA at all? Who knows? Like, there's a lot of places he could go and work. Impact, they already have a lot of the structure there, but they're struggling to find their feet again, and they really are trying to build that back up. Could he go there and help them build? Yeah, that's more in his wheelhouse as opposed to actually starting something from scratch.
Yeah.
So.
Second question here from Ryan, or a side note. How would you rate that first slap from Cien Almas that he gave to Daniel Bryan on SmackDown? Good God, that was hard. You could see Bryan flex and get ready for it. He loves working stiff.
He does love working stiff.
Yes, he does.
That's absolutely his style. I mean, that's another thing about this match is I don't think that I've got to research this. I don't think American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and La Sombra ever had a match that I can remember off the top of my head.
I don't think
it was a really good slap. How do I rate it? I mean, you look at the greatest slap artists of all time. It was pretty good. I mean, you and I have seen Walter live. He's probably the greatest chopper and slapper and paintbrusher I've seen live that I can recall. Like, it's absolutely, it is stomach turning how nasty his slaps are. As far as like where this was a really good slap. But, go look at Grand Metalik and TJP in the finals of the CWC where TJP missed a catch on Grand Metalik, and Grand Metalik gave him the receipt all upside his chest, and it was hamburger. Look at Roderick Strong and Daniel Bryan in the Greatest Royal Rumble. Or go crazy. Go look at Naomichi Marufuji, right, in Pro Wrestling Noah. That guy's got one of the hardest slaps in pro wrestling. Just go on YouTube, search Naomichi Marufuji chop, or Gato, just anything like that.
Yeah.
Look him up. He's got insane chops. Hiromu Takahashi has got some insane chops in New Japan right now. Kenta Kobashi, one of the greatest choppers of all time. Chris Benoit, if you remember, his backhand chops were just spine-tingling. Brian Pillman had a really good ones. I've got to mention Big Show. I remember Big Show.
Oh, the big palm.
The big palm. I remember him doing one on young little Drew, like pre-beard Drew McIntyre on SmackDown. I remember Big Show putting him back on the turnbuckle and just destroying him, like slapping his soul out of his chest with his palm. Which, of course, you've got to call back to Andre, because that was Andre's thing. Is he had those big, he'd lean you back and just paintbrush you. He just, paintbrush you right through the floor.
God.
So yeah,
I can't imagine taking one of those.
This was a really good chop, but it did remind me of a lot of other really good choppers. And man, I do love a good chop.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. Woo, indeed.
Final listener question here from Bebosh. What has been your favorite storyline of this Roman era that has hit all the feel spots?
Ooh.
Hang on. Are we talking about Roman storylines? Or are we talking about storylines during the Roman era?
Like the last 4 years.
I'm gonna lean on. Let's say it's Roman storylines.
Oh, do we have to?
Because
let's do both. Let's just do both. Why not?
For me, for Roman, it's got to be the Braun Strowman feud from last year.
That had all your feels, huh?
Yeah, because it was all the things I like. It was flipping over shit. It was two big hosses beating the hell out of each other. There were vehicles involved. It hit all the things for me. Especially that they had an ambulance match, and I think it was a last man standing match, if I remember. And then they even went as so far as everybody else got involved, and they put Braun Strowman in a garbage truck and turned the thing on and then drove it out. So I know that's more about Braun Strowman than Roman, but I think that's the best thing that Roman. I honestly think that's the best
speaks
feud.
more to your love of Braun Strowman than it does about Roman. But it is.
But it's not. Okay. I think that's the best feud that Roman's had. Going back, if you listen to our Roman special, one of the things that we brought up was the Shield. You got to call back to the Shield and the triple power bomb into the announce table.
The breakup of the Shield.
And the breakup, yeah. That's probably from a storyline around Roman during his era. That's probably that breakup with Seth Rollins and leading to the cash-in ultimately on him. That's probably the best storyline surrounding him, in my opinion.
It's really hard for me because there's no Roman storyline that hit all my feels. I can't even look at the Braun Strowman one. I was so frustrated with the fact that they had Roman Reigns attempt murder on somebody and it was never dealt with in any significant, serious way. Even your Braun doll doesn't like this. He's uncomfortable.
He's bailing out. He's done.
He didn't like that I didn't like his angle.
Right.
But no, that didn't work for me. The breakup of the Shield, was I wasn't looking at the emotion of it. Like after the initial couple of episodes, it was all about, oh God, how are they going to make Roman into the next big thing? And because you knew that was what was going to happen. And then it got really awkward. There was a brief moment that I liked his feud with Triple H, in like November of that year before they had the Triple H WrestleMania match. And it was working for a couple of weeks, but there is no Roman Reigns angle that I can say hit all of that was my favorite story. Like,
what about storylines around Roman Reigns?
Daniel Bryan's comeback.
Oh, sure.
It's easily is the one that, like, if I had to think back the last 4 years, the storyline that absolutely got me the most invested and the most emotional, like really emotional, like actually got genuine emotions out of me. It was the possibility that Daniel Bryan could come back. That the fact that he had his wrestling taken from him. He had his joy taken from him. And he had to just sit there on SmackDown as the GM and just grit his teeth while everyone else was having all the fun and he couldn't do the thing that he lives for. And then to watch him fight and get it back. And it wasn't even a storyline. It was like, that was real that they made into a storyline. And it worked. That's absolutely the most invested I've been in anything.
Wow.
Period.
Well, thanks, guys, for the questions. Again, if you guys want to get involved every single week, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for that $5 tier or any of the other tiers that also include that $5 tier. But, Ian, we got to wrap things up here really quickly, but we've got some other news. Lightning round that we've got to rattle off real quick.
Lightning round.
So I will throw it over to you, sir.
All right. So Ring of Honor TV was taping this week. Cody and the Bucks just won the 6-man tag belts. So they are the trios champs of Ring of Honor right now, which is interesting consider we're coming up on All In. They're not going to be together at that show, but they will be having the Ring of Honor tag belts. Death Before Dishonor, as we said, coming up September 28th from Ring of Honor. September is going to be an insane month. We mentioned earlier in the show, Neville has been added to the alumni page. He could be coming to All In. The PWI Top 500 Wrestlers is out. If you don't know PWI, there's like the two lists of the top wrestlers in the world. There's PWI and then there's Wrestling Observer.
Pro Wrestling Insider is what you're
Pro Wrestling Insider. They tend to be a little bit more like mostly kayfabe, like who's had the biggest year in kayfabe, but then also, who's made the biggest impact in storylines, whereas Wrestling Observer is just cold, hard, who is the best wrestler, who's the best technical worker in the ring.
Well, we don't have time to do all 500. Can you rattle off the top 10 for us real quick?
I can indeed. Holding steady at the same position as last year. In the 10th position, Miz. Number 9, coming up from last year at 12, Tetsuya Naito. Number 8, jumping all the way up from 33 last year, and I think very deservedly so, Cody Rhodes. This is an interesting one where they kind of break the whole kayfabe thing because he was such a mover and shaker in the wrestling world as a whole. He absolutely deserves to be in the top 10 of any like wrestling list this year because of everything he's been doing. Dropping down 3 spaces from last year. Last year was number 4. This year, number 7, Roman Reigns. Down a little bit this year, which is interesting to me. Up from 34 last year to number 6 this year, ya boy, Braun Strowman. Number 5, up from number 16 last year, and I think this makes sense because of what an incredible babyface year he's had. Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Strangely, at number 4, coming up from number 25 last year, Brock Lesnar. For a guy who wrestled like 2 matches this year, that's kind of
3.
incredible.
3.
Obviously facetiousness.
Be fair. Yeah,
okay.
Right.
2.5. Can we compromise?
Sure.
If you count total minutes worked. But yeah, Brock Lesnar at number 4. I guess that's just because he was the dominant Universal Champion all year, and he held it for an incredible amount of time.
Got the record.
Number 3, dropping down from number 1, largely because he lost the heavyweight belt and has lost his mind in the process. Has become Kazuchika Okada. Now I'm calling him Kazuchika Coke-Ada because he's just looks like he's always high. Number 2, holding steady from last year, AJ Styles.
Yes.
And number 1, up from number 5 last year, the very deserving new IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Kenny Omega.
Nice. Toni Storm might be hurt.
Might be. She is hurt. She's injured.
Well, some news came out today that it might not be as bad as we thought it was. So I'm hearing differing levels of how bad does it suck.
Well, let's put it this way. She had to vacate the WXW title, the German wrestling title. Right. She's off the tour with them and with Progress. They don't know exactly what the injury is. The diagnosis is uncertain. She was injured in a women's... So they had the UK... they started up the UK division for NXT UK.
Mm-hmm.
There was a title match between her and someone else who I won't say because of spoilers. But she was injured in that match, and actually, when you watch that match, the outcome is because of a legit injury.
Gotcha.
And there's also very, very big Mae Young spoilers because all of that's been done except for the finals, and Toni Storm was involved in that as well. Big spoilers for that. Don't want to give it away right now, but there is some possible stuff with the Mae Young Classic that may, because she's now officially signed with the WWE. So there may be some ramifications with that.
Gotcha. And thank you for masking that so I can't see the spoilers.
You're very welcome.
OG NWO reuniting in Orlando, Florida at Mango's Tropical Cafe on October 27th.
Yeah.
What?
So basically, it's these boys need some money.
Hey, yo.
These boys need some money. Nash, Hall, and Hogan.
Guess he's tired of doing DDP yoga.
Are going to get together at Mango's Tropical Cafe. You can go onto Hulk Hogan's website and bid on tickets. They are not flat rate. You bid on them. The 100 highest bidders will get priority seating and pictures with the boys. So if you live in Florida or are nearby to Florida and really have a hard-on for the original OG NWO, you can go down there and check out that show.
I love me some Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I don't know if I'm going to go to Orlando to Mango's Tropical Cafe.
All of a sudden, I really feel like some Hawaiian food. I don't know why.
Oh, God.
So let's see. Almost lastly, second to lastly, Super Showdown. We have a bunch of confirmed, a.k.a. promoted matches. Now, obviously, card subject to change.
Yes.
But these are the matches they are currently promoting as being at Super Showdown. WWE has been breaking their promotions recently, basically promoting a match and then saying the match isn't happening, which is really bad business. But at the same time, it's how you promote a damn show. How is you going to get people there? So take these matches with a grain of salt. Obviously, they could change before this show actually goes down. But they are promoting a WWE Championship match between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. Even though they haven't fought at Hell in a Cell, we have no idea who will be the champion at the time. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. Winner will become #1 contender to the WWE Championship.
Okay.
Yummy.
That has my attention.
Yummy. Triple H versus Undertaker, obviously. And I might be Shawn Michaels as special guest referee. That is being hinted.
Really?
He's supposed to come out next week on Raw and give an announcement. It may be that he's announcing he's going to be the ref.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to add that extra little pinch of nostalgia to it, that would do it. As I said earlier in the show, The Shield versus Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre is being advertised for the show. Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins versus the Riot Squad. Obviously, they're promoting this to show that Ronda and the Bellas would still be on the same page. So who knows what that means for the rumored Ronda Rousey and Nikki Bella match at Evolution.
I love me some Ruby Riott. What in the world is the Riot Squad doing in this match?
Filling a role, and frankly, they can out wrestle the Bella Twins at least.
Oh well, yeah.
And then finally, John Cena and Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens and Elias.
But Kevin Owens just quit.
Yeah, so hard to promote that. This seems this is what a bizarre match this is. This is the one that I'm like, they're changing this match. This is not going to stand. It's a huge mismatch. It's a huge mismatch. And
I would enjoy seeing Bobby Lashley versus Elias. I'll admit that. I'd like to see that.
What? No. We just were saying how we're sick of that feud. Lashley versus Cena, that I would watch. See, have you seen Cena lately? He's jacked.
Well, yeah, he's got veins popping out of his skin.
Woo.
So I agree. I would be all over Cena versus Lashley because that's some throwback shit too.
Yeah.
To late 2000s, but I wouldn't be mad at Elias and Lashley continuing to have. I don't want him to sing anymore. Don't do the same bullshit gimmick, but
no, don't have Lashley
those two
sing.
Can wrestle.
Never have Lashley sing again. But this is the one match I'm looking at and going, okay, they're just throwing that out there. This is not legit.
Yeah.
And then finally, just announced this morning, I was saying we had more 205 Live news. Buddy Murphy, hometown boy from Australia, mind you, versus Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship. So
here's where it goes down.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad card as you look at it right here. It's not bad at all. And then finally, in our news and notes segment, right now, Mae Young Classic's bracketology episode just went live. If you want to know more about the women that are in the Mae Young Classic, who's facing who, that is live right now. The Mae Young Classic does start next Wednesday after NXT. And be careful. If you go on Wikipedia, they already show the outcomes to all the matches. So stay away from the Mae Young Classic Wikipedia page.
Just stay off the internets for the next week.
Stay away from the internets. But yeah, that is our news.
Yes. Well, guys, that's our show for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. We had a lot of new members over the last couple of weeks come and join us in the Facebook discussion group. Love that. Please keep telling all your friends and inviting all your wrestling pals to come and hang out with us in what we think is one of the best groups for wrestling on Facebook.
Really fantastic group of people in there, yes. And I'm loving it. So thank you to everyone who's listening to the show. Thank you to everyone who's submitting questions to the show.
Yes.
Thank you everyone in our live chat right now. We do a live chat during the live taping of our show every week at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Except for today, we were 2 hours early, but we're not going to make a thing out of that.
Right. Also, you can come over, so definitely come join the Facebook group. Also, follow us on Twitter at BWO Podcast. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell icon right next to it so that you get notifications whenever we post new videos or we go live, as Ian just said, every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific. If you want to support the show and further efforts, as I was saying earlier, you can get in on Patreon at patreon.com/BWO. We've got a bunch of different tiers from $5 to $100 with all kinds of great rewards that you can sign up for over there, including copies of the show notes, asking listener questions, special monthly bonus episodes. We've got some swag and merch and all kinds of good stuff over there, so definitely come and check that out.
There was a great question asked on the live chat earlier. When you go on your vacation in 2 weeks, Nick, to the tropic islands or wherever the heck you're going, will you wear a BWO Speedo?
Ooh. I tell you what, if we get 10 more patrons in the next 2 weeks, regardless of whatever tier, if we get 10 more people on Patreon, I will have a BWO Speedo made and a picture from Turks and Caicos. Will go up in the Busted Wide Open discussion.
But I want people
Facebook.
to join up.
Yes. Oh,
I want people to join.
So
I don't
want to run people
picture.
away from.
I don't want to scare people off. I think only Jared wants to see you in a BWO Speedo.
Of course he does. That's because he lives in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. But that's all he's got. That's pure entertainment.
That's all he's got is you in a Speedo.
Right. Oh. Love you, Jared. Well, guys, that's it for this week. We will be back next week with some more updates on the Mae Young Classic first round information, at least, and much more recap of All In as we lead more further down the road towards Hell in a Cell,
Raw,
Evolution,
SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, a preview of New Japan's Destruction Series.
Yes,
we got a lot of stuff coming next week as well. But make sure you like and subscribe your podcast app of choice. Share us around. Give us to your friends. And let's build this community because I'm loving everyone I'm seeing so far, and I can only imagine this is just going to get better as it grows.
Yes, it will. But I'm Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Podcast.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous. This episode of the Busted Wide Open. Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.
Well, that was inevitably going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Fat finger on the soundboard. I might need to move those apart from each other.
That's what happens when you have a whole starship over there to try and command. At some point, you're gonna be trying to hit the accelerator and you're gonna hit the photon lasers.
Yes. Pew, 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 pew.
Exactly.
Oh man. So yes, is that a real thing? Was there really a request for me to get a Speedo? Do you really want to see my hairy ass in a Speedo?
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. That was actually Judith Brooke. I thought it was Jared.
Oh.
Well, Judith Brooke.
What?
Ew.
Come on now.
Come on now. Why would you even suggest that?
Speedo. I don't know that I've ever worn a Speedo in my entire life. We're still streaming, so I have to be careful with what I say here.
You have to be careful what you put on Facebook. You do get one. No.
Facebook's fine. It's locked down to just the members that can see it. This is going out to the world. I'm not opposed to doing fun gag things for the group. I'm always a good sport for that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean,
I'm not a good sport for seeing you do it though.
No, I mean, if 10 people, we have 7 patrons right now. If we end up, let's say, if we can get it to 20 patrons, let's do that. If we can hit 20 patrons.
Okay, 20 patrons and you'll wear the Speedo?
Yep. Oh, God. It may not be a BWO one because I don't know that I can get one made, but I'll tell you what, I'll find like white.
You absolutely can. We have an online store.
Yeah, but they don't make Speedos. They make T-shirts.
They make a lot of stuff.
They'll make you a phone case or a hat.
Oh shit, man! I'll get a Speedo. I know. Why am I playing into this?
Why are you volunteering?
Why am I volunteering? Why am I playing into this? I don't want this to happen.
Oh.
I mean, I do in like a screw you kind of sense, but I want to watch you make a fool of yourself.
Life, right?
But I also, for my own sanity and mental health, I don't want to see it. Ugh.
Well, guys, as always, thank you very much for hanging out in the chat with us. The audio version of this will be up on the feed later this afternoon, later tonight.
Giggity.
And we'll be back next week with some more Busted Wide Open podcast for your ass.
Sweet.
Until next time.